Hey, we're coming to you live today. We're answering all your real estate questions, anything that you have questions about, financial literacy. We've had a really good month. We've had 200,000 people come to all of our channels. So we started this, we might make it a weekly thing actually. If people are looking to ask questions about different real estate questions, that's what we're here for. Did you buy or sell a house recently? Did you have a weird contract that came in? What's been going on with you guys with real estate, whole life insurance? What's happened to you that's been really cool in the past week? That's what we're going to be here talking about. If you have any contracts that you've done recently, sometimes it's the clauses in the contracts that bring up the most questions, because that's like the fine print basically of the selling contract. At the end of the contract, there's a lot of pages of it. That's where we get the most questions about. And other ways to make money. So we're in the Greater Toronto area, but we actually deal with all the way to Barrie, out to Oshawa and Hamilton, but we do many different areas. What are you guys thinking about? Do you have any questions that I can help you with? This is meant to be more of like a helping channel. I didn't have any scheduled planning happening. I just put it out yesterday on TikTok that said if anyone is interested in this type of thing, that we might make it a regular thing. Do you have anything that you'd like me to help you with? Anything in real estate? Do you have any questions for me? In all honesty, this is my first time on here too. This is the first time I've seen it, but I'm going to be watching below to see if you have any questions. If you do have any questions, I can help you out. We have a real estate brokerage in Toronto, and we have several people that work for us. So if you actually are a realtor and you're looking for a place to grow, this might be a place for you. If you're looking to get your real estate license, we can also help you with things like that. Or if you have any questions when it comes to financial literacy, at the end of the day, this is just about thinking about your future and making things a lot easier for you now, rather than having to have all that stress that you're going to have in the future. So what kind of questions do you think that you would have for me? I'm not really sure how many people are on actually. I've seen about 40 people join below. How many? No, that's about 12. So if we have that many people that are on board right now, what we're doing is we're talking about financial literacy, and we're talking about properties, actually buying and selling properties, specifically in the Greater Toronto area. But a lot of what we do is very good for other markets as well. I actually don't know how this works at all. Babe, so I was just rambling because no one was saying anything, but now I'm at 0. So we're tuned in live today at 6 o'clock. Like I had promised, we're going to be doing this every week. We're going to be asking questions for people who have financial literacy questions, questions about buying or selling properties. Specifically in Toronto is where we work, but a lot of what we have is good for the whole country, any country really. Any city, about buying your hard assets and the things to look for in the properties that you're thinking about buying, whether it could be rental properties, whether it can be cash flowing assets for yourself within a portfolio, within insurance policies or holding companies. So that's what we're trying to figure out. Is it something that you guys want? Do you want us to stick around and keep doing this type of thing every week? I mean, this is our first week, and we'll see where it goes. We've had a real big month. We had 200,000 views in the past month, which is phenomenal. Our first month in the business about going online, about being on social. We've always done it just referrals before, so I'm glad that it's working out. We don't have that many people that have joined today, only like a dozen people. So do you have any questions for me that I can specifically help with? Any questions that anybody? Actually, I don't even know. Does my fancy new microphone work? Can you guys at least hear me? Can you hear anything? Can you just type that you can hear me? Something. Say hi. Just that's good. Nothing. I see join, man, but can you hear me at all? Maybe I'm going to take this thing off. Maybe you can't hear me. That's weird. I got this really cool microphone, this Rode microphone. So I was trying it out. I'm not really sure if anybody can hear you. Okay, great. You can hear me now? I'm not sure if you could hear me before. So guys, what we're doing here today is we're talking about financial literacy and properties. And so if there's a property that you're individually looking at, we can look it over together. We can talk about it. Ways of looking for hard assets, things that we're going to look for. Like we just did a movie this week about wanting to be near hospitals. Now there's a real big reason for that is because there's always demand in that area. There's doctors that are in that area that want to be there. And right now we can see it throughout the Greater Toronto area and other cities. Like back in Montreal and Calgary, Vancouver, the homes around the hospitals are doing quite well. As we have an aging population, people are moving closer to the hospitals. So the Hospital Alley downtown Toronto is actually quite popular if you're going to think of a place like the Shangri-La Hotel. We can also have in the Shangri-La residences that are on top. So a lot of places that's happening right now. So if you know the trends, you can actually take advantage of them and buy properties in those buildings where you could rent to them and make some extra cash flow. Has anyone bought a property lately? Has anyone sold a property lately? Is there any questions that I can help you with? A lot of times the contracts have a lot of different small print in them, and that's where we can come in. So those are the clauses. If there's a clause on maybe conditional on selling your home, conditional on finances, it could be conditional on inspection of your property, things that we look for in the property. I find that so much of my time is taken up trying to educate people with real estate. So I thought this might be a cool place to start. You know, we just started last month. We got 200,000 views, so we're pretty happy with it. Is there anything that I can help you with as far as your financial journey, really? We read a lot of books on this stuff, and we're kind of nerds when it comes to that, but we're here to help you out in any way that we can. Is there any questions that you have for me specifically that I can help you with? Can you think of anything? So there's like 20 people that have joined right now. This is my first time doing it, but I'm guessing if you write down a question down there, I'll do my best to help you out. This past week, it's been a crazy week actually, because did you see 0.99% mortgages? 0.99%. First time in history, man. 5,000 years of recorded history, we have 0.99% mortgages. That is crazy. Oh, cool. We have a good question. If Rogers Centre is rebuilt, what happens with condos in the area? Up in value due to new ballpark? Actually, no. It would probably be down in value. If you look at the Rogers Centre right now, it seats 50,000 people. If we shrink it down to what Rogers was proposing, about 20,000 seats, first of all, we'll lose a lot of that area. We'll put up more condo buildings in the area. So that noise and dust and the work that normally happens, it will take, 3 years or something like that. That would actually push the value down during those times of construction. Also, if you think about it, we always want to buy near hard assets, something that never moves. And that's how you're going to have cheap insurance, we would call it. It's how to protect the value of your property long term. So why do people come to Toronto? We come to Toronto to watch baseball, hockey, big shows, big conventions, Casa Loma, we have the water, we have subways, stuff like that. So if we take that stuff away and remove it, then there isn't any reason for people to come to a city. And we've seen this when we study other cities around the world. When they take away those big infrastructure things that bring a lot of people to the city, then the property values go down. Is that plan out? I didn't realize it would be for 20,000 only and for more condo builds. Yes, that's correct. So they were kind of testing the waters, I think. I think that they wanted to see the public's reaction to the whole thing. So if you are familiar with where the Rogers Centre is on their piece of land, the only property that is actually on that piece of land is 81 Navy Wharf, right on the west side. So their plan is to take it and build a very small one and use the north side all to put condos on that side and put a very small one. But they're not even going to really stop there. They're interested in moving it all the way down to maybe Lakeshore, maybe even out of the GTA. They're looking at just cashing in on building condos in the whole area. I think that could be a really bad thing for the city. If you think of, it's not just baseball, so that's the blowback that I've been hearing. baseball, there's only like 10,000 people at a game or something. Well, it's not just baseball. There's huge concerts that go on there, 50,000, they fill it out. I've been there many times when it's packed out with 70,000 people. All the floor seats are full. There's conventions that they have there. So the more people we can entice into the city, the more money is spread around between the hotels and the restaurants and all the things that are happening. So as we choke out how many seats are available in the place, less and less people, and we're talking in the millions more people come because we have a huge stadium, right? What would we have done during Pan Am Games? Not even had a stadium for them to use, So that's one thing. So cool. Thanks for asking your questions, man. I really appreciate it. So I'm looking for an investment condo. I should look outside of Toronto core near Rogers Centre. I should look outside of Toronto. I'm guessing you're saying or near the Rogers Centre, either or. What I would do is there's two different ways of looking at it, and it really depends on what you feel as a person, like your guiding light, what you feel. So some people really like to ride the waves, so they find out what is going up the most, like right now, and that's what they want to buy. So if you're going to do something like that, if you look up at Cottage Country up in Muskoka, Kawartha Lakes, stuff like that, the properties are up like 44% up too, right? Some areas are up 30, some up 40. Huge percentages up. For me, that's a little bit dangerous. I wouldn't be too into that, but that's just my personal taste. But some people do very well with that. What I would do is look at things that are coming at a huge discount right now because a lot of condos are 20% off. So if we look downtown around the Rogers Centre, you're asking outside of Rogers Centre? Well, we don't know if they're going to be doing that yet, okay? So we don't know if they're actually going to be tearing down the Rogers Centre yet. They're testing the waters. They just said they're going to shelve it for now and see what happens. Maybe they're going to wait for COVID to finish. But if you were looking for an investment property right now, I would look at, there's a lot out there. One bedrooms are down 20% across the city. I've never seen it like that before. So at my brokerage, we have 600 properties that are on the market right now. Only about 100 of them are for sale, which is shocking. 500 of them are for lease because they can't lease them out. So what happens when people can't lease them out? They're going to start trying to sell them. And so those one bedrooms are coming on the market a lot. And they're pushing the prices down. So that's what I think you would do, is you should look at the existing buildings, and only a good building, right? None of this weird stuff type buildings, because some of them, each building is run by its own individual type of government, right? So it's their own condo board, which is elected by everybody inside. So they decide how they're going to use that money. So we want to buy a building that is very, very safe. That's what we want. We had another guy that was asking us, he has $15,000 to do to invest, and what should you do? Thanks very much for your question. I appreciate it. What I would do is figure out first where you live. Would you be able to tell me where you live? I think this has a big difference. It changes things. So if you were living in a place where the prices for homes were very, very cheap, so let's say you're in a small town and you could buy a home for maybe 65, 70,000. Oh, San Diego. Thank you. What is the prices for homes in San Diego? I think they would be a lot higher. So if you only had 15,000, you wouldn't even be able to put your 3% down in the States. So it depends on the price of the home. I wouldn't look to be buying a property right now in San Diego because the prices are inflated. I would be waiting a little bit for the time when the prices will be coming down, because the Corona foreclosures are going to be coming up early in the next year. So I would wait off of that. What I would do if I were you is I would start looking at things that do make money in a big downturn. So what things can? Most of the time they recommend 1% of your whole portfolio be in crypto. I personally have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. I have a whole bunch of those, but only 1%, okay? Only a hedge. Also, your portfolio should have 5 to 10% of gold and silver, stuff like that. So if you have gold and silver in your account, that's really good too. And then you should start looking at maybe holding some stocks. So Warren Buffett, he just bought a huge position in gold. So if you look at Barrick Gold is what he holds. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I am a realtor, but I'm just telling you what I do personally. So he has a big position in gold, which is something I like. Also something that never goes away. They talk about Johnson & Johnson or Coca-Cola, stuff like that, where you're buying for the long term. Wait for a good dip and then get in and park it. I'm hoping that I'm I'm answering your questions. Thanks. So just easy. You said thanks for answering your question. Can you give me a couple more while I'm here? I'd love to hear about them, and I'm going to help you out. And you should just fire away. There's only 2 of you that are asking questions right now. Do you think maybe buying out of state? Absolutely. 100% I would do that. California is probably the last place I would want to invest. I personally am looking to invest in Louisiana and in Texas. You want to buy in places that you can, this sounds terrible, okay? That you can evict somebody if they are not paying their rent. So where I live, people can go 2 years with never paying rent before you can kick them out. So for a regular person, for yourself, if you were just starting off in real estate and you are stretched to the max and you buy this place out of state and they decide not to pay you for 2 years, you are screwed. I mean, you're screwed. And it's not fair to you as an investor, right? Well, I don't want someone to be homeless, but at the same time, I don't want to go bankrupt either. I don't want to be homeless. So I would live in places like Texas, Louisiana, I think Colorado, Arizona too. They have short windows where we can evict them if they don't want to pay, and it wouldn't come on as a huge hardship to us. So I absolutely would think about out of state. It's probably your best bet. And then you can get into those areas some really cool things. So we just had another question about Barrie and Orillia, and these are the same things no matter where you are, what country you're in. You want to make sure that the area has good jobs that are supporting the area, schools, possibly a hospital. You also want to know that there's a large amount of people moving into the place. So we want to look at demographic shifts if there's a large population of people moving in. And then you want to know what the average salaries are in that area. And a good realtor should be able to help you with this. He'll be able to tell you if there is high income in that area. And that's going to help make you secure when you get your tenant. You got to be really careful that your tenant is going to be paying for you. And realtors will do that for you. They'll do all the background checks for you. So normally we have to make sure that their credit is really good. We have to make sure their references are really good. We always contact their ex-landlords because they're going to be a very good person. And never fall for just call this landlord, right? Because usually they're going to give you their brother or something like that. So we're actually going to go on public records with our lawyers, see who actually owns the property, contact that owner, and make sure that it is good. So we have a question about Barrie and Orillia. So about Barrie and Orillia, as far as investment properties, I wouldn't right now. So the general rule is when you're in a city, the city is the most expensive part, and if you draw concentric circles outward, it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. The one in the Greater Toronto area, the one outlier for this is the Barrie. So once you go up to Barrie, Barrie's like a world of its own. So it gets cheaper, and then all of a sudden Barrie is very expensive. And Barrie doesn't actually, it has infrastructure, yes. It has a highway there, it has hospital there, it has a lot of good stuff. But the prices compared to all the demographics that we were talking about, average incomes and stuff, just doesn't support it. It did as of like 3 years ago, and then it just blew past all of our projections. So I think if you were in the Barrie Orillia area, maybe lean toward Orillia, and even don't be afraid to look outward a little bit. The number one thing we're looking for is cash flow. We want to make sure that your cash flow is going to be very high. So what are we talking about when we're talking about cash flow, okay? There's a lot of different ways to calculate how much I'm going to be making on a property. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. You got to get confused. So number one, we can have the appreciation of the property. Number two, we can have cash flow, which is if my mortgage is $1,200 a month and they're paying me $1,400, I made that extra $200. So there's my cash flow. But you can also have it in the appreciation of the property and the principal payoff. So the amount that you're paying toward your mortgage, the $1,200, isn't all interest. It's going to be a huge chunk of that is going to be a principal. So that's money that you're actually making as well. So when we're going to be talking about maintaining your cash flow, we don't usually talk about principal repayment. We're usually talking about the appreciation of the property, and we're talking about how much that rent is profit that you're coming in at the end of the year, cash on cash return. So if you've ever heard of cash on cash return, it can be kind of confusing. So cash on cash means that if I paid for a property $1 million and I get $100,000 a year in rent, it's 10%. That's my cash on cash return. Now, after that, we have to figure out what your mortgage rates are and so forth. But as I said earlier, we have 0.99% mortgage rates now, which is just a cycle. I've never seen this, never heard of it. It's the lowest rate we've ever had in 5,000 years, which is kind of crazy, right? You were asking me what is the best place in Texas that you should buy. I'm kind of been looking all over, to be honest. I haven't found my target cities yet. I'm waiting a little bit. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of Corona foreclosures that are going to be coming up. So when Corona is going to take more of a bite, so one of these subsidy programs actually start coming down, the government only has two choices, right? They can either devalue the currency or they can up how much they're going to tax people. Either or. But either or, it hurts. Taxes up, everybody hates that. So, there's going to be blowback for that. But if they keep printing money at the rate that they are, it's kind of like a hidden tax, because now everything becomes more expensive. A jar of mayonnaise is more money. A car is going to be more money. A house is going to be more money. So that is where you can really kill it, I think, is the devaluing of your currency if you're in assets. So imagine that we bought a home. Let's take a number, 100,000 if we were talking about in Texas. You buy a home for 100,000 in Texas, and I lock in right away my mortgage for 200 grand or 100 grand. I lock it in for 100 grand. But the government is printing money like crazy, and they print trillions of dollars, which they already have. So as they print all this money, things become more and more and more and more expensive, right? So if you use some bananas number, which is not going to happen, but let's say we double the money supply. So money is twice as easy. That means all the assets have to double in price as well. So your $100,000 house will be now $200,000 on paper, but it's the same purchasing power. But they do not inflate your mortgage. So if your home now jumps to $200,000 in these cheap dollars, your mortgage is still stuck at $100,000. So you can now pay off your debts with really, really cheap money. So the government, in essence, has paid off half of your property. So inflation will kill you. It will destroy your savings if you are in cash. Destroy you. But if you are in assets, like a good home, or you're in stocks, then you're going to be able to withstand that blowback. And so when we're going to buy a home, we want to make sure that we're in a home that makes sense. You don't want to be in a large home, not huge square footage, not very expensive to run. Typically, where I am, the homes with pools, 5 bedrooms and higher, they're going to have the biggest hurt brought to them when this all happens. So you want to be in the homes that everybody can fit into and everybody wants. So if we were going to talk about that, what would it be? Single family home is what everybody wants to be inside. And they also want to be in a price that is below the median of the country. So not just the city. So where I am in Toronto, the homes are the second, we're always tied with Vancouver, highest prices in Canada. So, a condo downtown is $750,000 or so. And if you want a detached home, you're looking at least $1 million, within half an hour of the city. But if you were in a smaller town where the properties are $100,000 and they have good jobs in the area, good internet, hospital, attached to a highway, an airport, stuff like that, if you're near those hard assets, then you have a really good chance of buying that low value property where everybody would want to move into it if the times were tough. So that's the type of property that we would look into. That's what I would suggest. Now that matters whether you're in Barrie or whether you're in Texas, or it's the same things. Thoughts on Hamilton for investment property? Thanks very much for showing up. Hamilton is a great place. We were investing there for like 8 years in a row. Especially when Trudeau was bringing over 50,000 people from Syria. They deposited so many people over there. It was crazy. And the government itself was buying up every unit that was available. It was on fire. I mean, like 20% year over year. So it has caught up a lot, actually. And so Barrie, we're out there about 10 days ago looking at some properties. It's not so much the area. Yes, I would invest in Barrie. Absolutely. In Hamilton, I would invest there. Absolutely. But it really comes down to the deal. Why I like Hamilton, there's an airport that's there. There is hospitals there. There's universities nearby. You got stuff. You have the infrastructure that is there, and it's close to Toronto too. So that's why it did really well. I think it has a lot farther to go I think it can have more room to grow, but it really comes down to the deal. We want you to only buy properties that are not going to be way over the value. Because how many times have we looked at it that a property is listed on the market and it goes for 30% over what it's worth, which is absolutely crazy. None of us want to pay over what it's worth. And so many times these properties are going for crazy prices. So we turn back and with our clients, we'll tell them like, this is the line. Do not go past this line because you will lose past that line. And we don't want you to ever lose. We want you to make the most money possible. And so a lot of in these areas, in super hot areas, we have these multiple bid situations. And so many times we're in bids that have 12 bids, 14. I think we saw one 2 weeks ago at 24 bids that we had. So most of the properties are going like auctions, basically. And so whenever they have an offer date, that's an auction, just so you know. So if you have a good realtor, he'll let you know in advance when it comes on the market, it'll go for that price by that time. And so most of the time when it goes for these auctions, they'll put it on the market 3-4 days early. And then you'll be shocked that the next morning it's sold, because there'll be 30 people that are gone to see it the first day it's on market and put in what's called a bully bid. And so those bully bids, do you guys know what a bully bid is? So a bully bid is when they've asked to receive all of the offers like next Monday for the auction. But I have a buyer who's super, super hungry for this property. It's the best thing he's ever seen. So he's going to write an offer. Well, the realtors will write the offer. And we now are forced to legally hand it over. So when we hand it to them, that bully offer, they have to now present it to the client. Even though they've asked to receive it in 3 days when the auction is going to happen, they legally are bound to the requirement to hand it to them. So we're forcing it in front of them, and it has to be a really good deal for them to say, you know what, I'm not going to wait the 48 hours and actually go to auction. They got to say, you know what, this is amazing. So the last time that we did that, I think it went for $82,000 over what it was worth. Like, they really wanted it. These people were moving here from England. They had no place to go. Their furniture was coming, and they didn't care the cost. They needed a place. So in certain instances, bully bids are good. But if it's listed for $600,000 and you know it's worth $700,000 and you try and put in an offer at $600 or $625 and you know it's worth $700, you're just never going to get it. I hope that answers your question. Thanks for another question. How are condo sales going down? Are they going down and are prices going up? Okay, so it depends on what type of condo and where you are. So we always talk about you have to be in your hard assets. So the hard assets are it's going to be your cheapest insurance you can ever have. That is a subway, the water, a streetcar that is on its own tracks. So in Toronto, like St. Clair, like the waterfront, that have their own lanes for movement, or King Street. So places like that, that's going to keep your value up. Hospitals, something that you're going to buy there, they're always doing well. The things that are doing bad are 1-bedroom places, 3-bedroom places. They're really hurting. So the people in 1-bedroom don't want to be crammed into this small little place during the pandemic, right? They don't want to have to feel like they're in jail. So they're leaving. And they're the places right now that are down 20% year over year. 20%. That's crazy, right? They've dropped a lot. So, I mean, like 550,000 down to 400, 425. They've come down a lot. Also, the 3 bedrooms and the luxury units have come down. So think about the units inside of like the Aura or those 80-story buildings. So the ones at the top pay primo dollars to be up there, right? But what people usually want are those units up to about floor 50. I would say 35 to 55, that's like the sweet spot. And then people who pay those premiums at the top floors, they don't usually get that premium back. So a premium is normally like $1,500 per floor is what they charge. And they'll normally charge a view fee. So if you're right next to another condo building and you're looking into their bathroom, they're not going to charge an extra view fee for that. But if you're overlooking the lake, like in Toronto, the view charge can go up to about $30,000. So it really depends on the type of building, but you don't always get that back. What you will always get your money back for is how many square feet is the place. We've had a couple over the years that have been hard. So those couple are if we have, it's on the 3rd floor there's a garbage can right outside and they're emptying the garbage in the middle of the night. I mean, that's terrible. But most of the time, square footage is king, really. So if you're in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, they're still doing well here because there's still demand. So families in the 3-4-bedroom condos are downsizing, and the people in the 1-bedrooms are upsizing. So the 2 and 2 have been doing very well. But the 1-in-1, those smaller 1-bedroom units, so we're talking about 650 square feet and below, those ones have taken massive beatings. I don't think one of my clients would mind if I told you about him. So he called us and he was interested in a property up in the Muskokas and the Kawarthas. I'm going to build myself a cottage. So when he saw the prices are up 30 or 40%, so some areas are 44% on the year up. As soon as he saw that, he said, I'm not buying the uptrend. I'm going to buy what's on sale right now. So he decided, so he was in London, Ontario. So he wanted to buy a place right downtown Toronto, and he got it at 22% off what it was just a few months ago. 22% off. He goes, that's going to be my new cottage. I'm going to be downtown Toronto, right next to the theaters, right next to the shows, and that's going to be my weekend away, not up in the woods. So he's kind of a bit of a contrarian kind of thinker, but that's what Warren Buffett does too, right? He buys the things that are on sale at the time. He never likes to pay a premium for them. But I hope that answered your question. If you have any more, put it in the comments below. I'll try and get to them. Any pitfalls in investing in pre-construction property? Yes, actually, you have to be careful when it comes to that stuff. If you're buying properties that are pre-construction, what are you buying it for? Are you buying it for yourself, or are you buying it for an investment? I'm curious. Can you leave a comment on that below? But just to give you a little bit of an idea, my building where I'm at right now, where I live, downtown Toronto, so we're right on Bay Street, it goes for about $1,000 a square foot. But if you look just 2 buildings over, they're selling their units for $1,500 per square foot. Then they charge you a floor charge, $1,500 a floor. They charge you a view charge. So some of the units go up to $1,800 a square foot. That's crazy, right? So $1,000 a square foot, $1,800 a square foot, okay? So now we want to know, if this is an investment, what can we rent them out for? Well, guess what? We can rent this out for $4 a square foot, and I can rent this out for $4 a square foot. So imagine paying way more money for the place and only getting the same return. So a lot of these buildings that are just like next door to me, these buildings are going up. They're almost purely purchased by foreign investors. And there's some buildings, I saw 100 units in them up for rent. So they can't rent them. They can't make any of their money back. So there is some danger. What we do see a lot when it comes into pre-construction is when you have people moving from another country and they want all their family members on one floor. So I've walked into the sales offices before, and there will be 100 people in the office, and people will actually have their hands on that plastic model, reserving 1, 2, 4 different units in the same thing, and they won't take their fingers off until they've actually had the contract. It's kind of weird, right? But they all want to be on the same floor. We have foreign investors that come in, they buy things like donuts. I'll take 4 1-bedrooms, 6 2-bedrooms, 3 of the penthouses. How many parking spots can I get? I'll take 12. And so it's kind of weird when we see them coming in like that, right? So that happens a lot with them. And there is certain types of people and certain types of cultures that want to be the first person to ever live in a home. It's weird. It's like the first question that I get. I want to make sure that no one else has ever lived in this property before. So if that happens, I mean, this is the perfect thing for them. The only thing when you're going to, obviously there's a huge price difference, but also we have to talk about how HST is applied. So HST is going to be applied when it's your personal home, and the mortgage deposits that you're going to have to put down are going to be different. So when you buy your own property, 5% down. When you're going to be buying it for an investment, it has to be 20% down. That's a big difference, right? And then we have to deal with the HST as well. So there's an HST that you have to pay. You have to pay tax on it because it's a new item, right? But when we buy something off Kijiji, we're not paying tax off of a Kijiji sale, right? So when you're not paying tax on that, then you don't have to pay it on a resale home. But there are certain credits that you can get back, whether you're in an investment or whether it's for yourself. So we're going to make sure that either way that you're going to pay the proper amount of HST and get the right amount of HST back. Now that's usually between the builder and it's usually between your lawyer if you have a really good lawyer. I have another question here. Roughly, how much can you get for one of those one-bedroom units for? The way my client did. Okay, so it really depends. It goes by square footage. So those one-bedroom units, now I'm talking right downtown Toronto. So when I'm talking about the core, it kind of means from Bathurst over to Jarvis up to St. Clair kind of thing, that main core, and it gets cheaper when you move out. But you should be able to get the micro units, and that's what I mean by 550 square feet or below. You should be able to get those for $400,000, $425,000. Now that also depends on the building. It depends on parking and locker as well. So most buildings, the parking is going to be $30,000, $35,000 for parking, and it really depends on the building. So if you look in my building, they have a lot of parking, like tons. They built 2 parking spots for every unit. So then in my building, parking would be like $10,000 or $12,000. But the building directly next to me and next to our office, that building only built 1 spot for the large units and none for the small units. So the parking over there will be about $45,000. So big difference, right? So depending on how much parking, depending on how big your storage unit is, depending on the health of the building, you should be able to get it in the low 400s. I think it's a really good point. Please, all you guys who came by, put more questions below. I'd love to keep going as long as you guys have questions for me. When you're looking at the health of a condo building, very, very important is you have to do your due diligence. I'm going to give you a little Canadian trick, okay? The Canadian trick. This is the David special. Always go to the Tim Hortons nearby on a Saturday morning. You walk into the Tim Hortons on a Saturday morning. It doesn't work at Starbucks or anything else. Tim Hortons, man, Saturday morning, you get a flavor of what is going on in the city and that area. That's like my litmus test. You walk in there, if there's a bunch of shadies there on a Saturday morning, that area might have something weird if you've never been there before. Also, when we're going to look at the building, you want to actually talk to people. I'm walking through the hallway of a building I've never been into before. I'll stop someone in the hall. Hey, how long have you been here? Do you rent or own? Do you like it here? Do you mind if I just ask a couple questions? My friend here, my client, is looking at buying a place. Can you tell him what's your favorite thing about living here and what's your worst thing about living here? So I always ask those 2 questions, and usually it's surprising the things that they're going to tell you. All right, now then it comes into due diligence from a realtor's perspective. We actually look at the deals and we run a lot of analytics, kind of like the matrix, where we're running through all these numbers to make sure that the deal makes sense. And that's when we're looking at demographics, incomes of the building, what kind of, we have a chart for the census for university educated people as well. We're trying to be in a building that is high ownership, low renters. That's what we want. Because who looks after a building more? People who own the unit or people who rent the unit and treat it like, dirt. So you want to be in a building that has a lot of owners, not very many renters. That's the best buildings, okay? And that's where a realtor is going to help you. We're also going to look through the numbers and we're going to pull up all the comparables, and we run it through personally. We have over $10,000 of software just for this one purpose, and we run that through to make sure that the deal makes sense. Then we have to kind of tag team our lawyer in, and the lawyer comes and looks at the status certificate. Do you guys know what a status certificate is? So this happens when you're going to be buying a condo. We have to make an order for this status certificate. The status certificate costs about $100. It takes about 10 days max to come in. But when this status certificate comes in, it's like the Bible, okay, for that unit and that building. What it's going to tell you is the first section, so it can be up to 400 pages, it can be a lot shorter. But what you want to look for, all that really matters, is litigation. We want to know if the building is being sued for any reason. Like there's a property over here, 36 Lisgar, that has all this litigation on it. So that's where you want to steer clear, right? So we want to know, is the building getting sued for any reason? We want to know if the actual owner of the little unit is in trouble. Has he been paying his condo fees or whatnot? Because when you take over the building, take over that unit, there's a debt, right? So it's going to have to be adjusted if he hasn't been up to date with his payments. Then we want to look at the maintenance. So we'll look at what has been corrected, what has been repaired, what has to be repaired in the future. So normally there's a whole analysis done every few years in a condo building saying what things are going to be breaking and do you have the money set aside for that. So generally that is when we're going to have balconies replaced, we're going to have windows replaced, redoing the tarmac or something like that. So we have to make sure that the money is there for that type of thing. So they'll have money set aside for that, and then they'll have an overall reserve fund. So how much is the reserve fund supposed to be? Well, that depends on the size of the building, right? Okay, so a typical building, 30 floors, something like that, 30 stories, maybe 10 units per, so 300 units, about $1 million. Okay, so, but if we're talking about a unit that is an 80-story building, you might have to have $2.5 million in that building as far as a reserve fund to make sure it's healthy. And your realtor can help you with that because he should know. Also, your lawyer should know that and flag that if it's a problem. A good lawyer is going to be reviewing the status certificate for you. They normally charge about $250 to do it. And it's included if you use them in the sale. So I always suggest that you do this, and you need it to be looked at every single time. Sorry, guys. I hope that I'm answering your questions in a timely manner. Please, can you put more below, and I'm going to try and get to them all. What are the legal requirements for an American to invest into Canada? So you can invest here, not a problem. We can invest down in the States as well. What I'm not very good at is the tax law in the United States and how the foreign income. So as an American, you have to pay taxes on any properties, right, that you own anywhere. You pay not on residency, but on citizenship. So you'd have to check with your accountant on that. But you can pay here. There is a foreign buyer's tax though. It's 20%, so it's quite steep. Now, foreign investment is what's shoring up all of the sales here in Canada, man. I mean, it's huge. Now downtown Toronto is like 50% in some buildings are foreign owned. A lot of the new buildings hit 75, 80% foreign owned. So they're willing to pay the 20% usually because the properties are going up 15, 20% every year. Now, if you have any family that is here, I would suggest that you have them buy it. Then they wouldn't have to pay that 20%. So if you know that you're actually moving to Canada and you pay the 20% for a unit, you move up here or you rent it out for a few years, then you have 3 years to get that money back. So if you pay that money up front to the government, now none of us want to lend the money to the government, right? But if you have to, and then you end up deciding to move here, and you do move here, you can apply for the money back. But it really depends on cash flowing properties, man. Follow the money. Wherever you're going to make the most money, that's what you got to do. In the States, I'm looking at buying some properties in the States now too. There's some cool places, Louisiana, Texas, Colorado, Arizona, some cool places that we've been looking at. Maintain cash flow. That's the main thing. So talk to your accountant and see if you can get a better deal in the States. Otherwise, we're more than welcome. There's properties all over, man. There's deals happening every single day. I hope that kind of helped you a little bit. Dave, you're a smart guy. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. I'm just a lowly realtor, man, trying to help you out. I'm 95% on your side with the Sky Dome demolition. Thanks, man. I've been getting so much blowback over this. You wouldn't believe it. I'm just like a guy for the people. I just don't want them to tear down a massive stadium. Now, guys, if they were going to tell me that they're going to tear down a 50,000 seat stadium and make it bigger and better, man, I'm all for it, man. I'm for the people. I want us to win, right? But taking away a huge stadium and replacing it by a tiny one, and maybe even moving it outside of Toronto for the sake of quick dollars to build condos on that little place, that is screwing the city. That's what it is, man. There's no other way to look at it. So it's not helping the people of Toronto by building more condos. It's all going to be bought up by foreign investors anyway. So you are screwing the city. So if you look at it, go way back. We spent $600 million to build that. Taxpayers spent that money on the Sky Dome. And then a few years later, we sold it to Rogers for $25 million. They screwed us. I don't know what kind of backdoor dealing stuff is going on with the mayor and whatever, but they screwed us and they got all of that for nothing. Okay, so now they're going to do it a second time. That kind of chaps me the wrong way because, like I said, I'm for the people. I just want the city to do better, have more events, more concerts, more. They rent it out to all kinds of different companies that bring people in. And you got to look at it. Millions. I thought, if I remember right, 7.5 million tickets a year. So if you make this place a lot smaller, think of less hotels, less restaurants, less people at all the touristy things to do. So we just want to make sure from a city perspective, from the people perspective, that we're going to do okay. If you look at the hockey place where we're going to go watch the Maple Leafs, I mean, you're paying $300 for nosebleeds, which is kind of crazy pricing to me. But if you want to go to a baseball game, a lot of people tell me that they bring their family from Vaughan on the subway all the way down, very cost effective, go see a game. They're only paying $15 for a ticket. It's so accessible for people, but by moving it into a small stadium, we're going to hurt values around the area for sure during construction. We're going to hurt the city, and we're going to hurt the cultural fabric of the place. So it isn't about so much the cement of that building, but the fact that they're taking it away from the city and putting a pittance back in from what they're actually taking. But thanks for being on my side. Everyone wants to blow it up with a stick of dynamite, which is crazy. All right, next question. Looking into a coach house above my double detached garage, would it affect resale value? Hell yeah. You should see some of the properties that we have, man. We did a couple up in Cottage Town that had a nice coach house in the back. Man, we got some sweet values on those properties. So remember, people want to buy things that are rare and that nobody else has. So when you have this really nice house with a coach house in the back that's on this usually very nice piece of land. So the one that we sold was actually a horse stable, and they had a plaque outside that was a historical venue. It was used for bubblegum and candy apples during the Second World War. And now it's a 2-story, separate, rented, livable space. But they actually have the horse barn doors still there. The rings that were on the wall that the horses were tied up to. So they kept a lot of that really cool flavor. And the barn wood is now the floors. So it was an amazing place. So you're looking into building a coach house above your double detached garage. Okay, so sorry. It's not going to be the same as the coach house in the back, but it will increase value huge. Square footage is king, man. Nobody wants to be locked up in a place and not have a chance to get out, right? COVID's happening, work from home is going to be happening more. Square footage is king. So let me tell you that a lot of the times when you're going to be asking to do that, the city is going to have a law that kiboshes it. It won't let you build above it because all your other neighbors don't have it. So what is very, very common, at least in the Greater Toronto area, are you in the Greater Toronto area? I'd like to know. I'm just very curious. Can you leave a comment below? If you are in the Greater Toronto area, so you can apply to the city for what's called a minor variance. And so what you would do is you would go around your neighborhood and see anybody else who's built a place on top of their garage. And it's kind of like we're going to go to the city and say, well, if they built it, why can't I? So you're going to build that case for yourself. You're going to give it to them. And so like 3-4 times a year, the city's going to get together and they're going to vote on these minor variances. And usually they'll just say, yeah, no problem. And you can go ahead. So the permits might be an extra step for you to get those extra permits. But it's always worth it. But let me put one caveat to that, okay? So to build above your garage, it really depends on how many square feet you're going to build and how much a contractor's charging you. So make sure you have a contractor who knows what he's doing, who's done it before, look at his portfolio, and figure out what he's charging you. Because I've seen those units above your garage go from anywhere from $80,000 to $200,000. So if you're going to pay $80,000, hell yeah, let's do this. Can't do it any faster. But if he's going to charge you $200,000, hell no. I still want you to build, but I don't want you to be building with that guy, okay? Because I want you to be able to make the most money. One thing that everybody kind of grapples with is should I or should I not put a bathroom in the ensuite, in the coach above the garage? Always yes. Put a bathroom up there for sure. You always make your money back for bathrooms. Thanks, guys, for all the questions. Hi, you said, I'm sorry, guys. I'm talking too much. I really want to get to all of you. Can you pay for your physical cash for a place? Can you pay all physical cash for a place? No, you can't. There's a company in Canada, an arm of the government called Financial Tracking. So these guys are going to make sure that you have to declare it. So every time I sell a property, I have a form that I have to fill out your name, and I have to look at your ID myself, fill out that I've seen your passport and what it is, and that I feel that it is not proceeds of crime or money laundering. So generally speaking, anytime you use $10,000 or more for any transaction, we have to write a report to the government and let them know that high value cash is coming in for a certain deal. And that's going to happen anywhere, even a lawyer. So it's kind of like a trigger point for the entire city. Thanks very much for Maple Rob. What would it be for Canadians investing in US? Okay, kind of the same thing. We can buy down in the States. Now, it's not like a 20% like it is when you're going to buy into the Toronto region. and they also have it in Vancouver. But it is going to be in the States. There is a lot of different things. So we would open up an LLC, a limited liability company down in the States. It always helps if you have any residency down there or anything. Once you get your first property, it's really easy once you do have an LLC to start building that growth and building your portfolio within a holdings company, which is good for separation and legal requirements for you to be able to not get sued personally for it. The States are usually a lot more litigious than we are in Canada. But absolutely, a lot of people do it. Now, there is right ways and wrong ways. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise you as to what to do as far as that goes. Talk to your accountant, talk to your lawyer. There are ways to do it, but there's ways to do it properly and improperly. You can get double taxed if you do it the wrong way. So just make sure with your accountant that you can do that. You said, yes, for sure, you'll be my guy in Canada. Woo! Thanks, mate. I appreciate it, man. Anytime you need me, I'm always here. Okay, you said, so aside from Toronto, is there any other areas that you would consider for a booming investment? Yes, lots of places. But it's not always the place, right? A lot of people get hung up on this and say, well, you said to me Toronto is the best place to buy. Well, it's not always. It's the deal. It's the actual deal that you're looking at. Where am I going to make the most money? That's all I care about. So if you're looking at a property in Toronto that's worth $800,000 and I can buy it for $600,000, hell yeah, I'm in. So it's not always the city, right? It's the deal. But overall, look for places that have a lot of growth, have good income levels, or areas that have had a real beating. So what we've seen recently is even out in Alberta, Medicine Hat, properties in Calgary, properties in Edmonton. They've taken some real beatings, and so people are picking up for really good deals. In Ontario, we have small places, London, Guelph, Cornwall, Hawkesbury. Have any of you heard of that place? It's a tiny little town, 10,000 people. So these places that you can buy in are generally bringing in 10% per year cash-on-cash return, which is quite phenomenal. But the appreciation on a property there is only going up 2 to 3%. But did you notice what I just said? The appreciation is 2 to 3%. 10% cash on cash for your rental. In Toronto, it's the opposite. 3% cash on cash return for your rent coming in versus their property price, and 10% appreciation. 10 plus 3 is 13. Hawkesbury, 10% per year plus 3 is 13. It's the same. So then we're going to be talking about our risk. And so where do you personally feel that it has the greater risk, the small town or the big town? So there's a lot of different places that are out there, and there's deals happening in every one of these places all the time. So I would say really focus in on the deal, but right today, this moment, I would be looking in some smaller towns as well. Just diversify your portfolio. I wouldn't have everything in one big city. Diversify, think outside. A lot of people in Toronto make a big mistake. They're like, I want to buy everything within 6 blocks of my house, but guess what? The best deals are not always within like a very small window around you. Think bigger, not just the GTA. Can think outside of that and find a deal that is really good for you. So we have people from other parts of Canada too that contact us. We have big clients that are out of the country that contact us, and we do the same type of walkthrough. They're free consultations. We don't charge any money for them, and we'll get on and talk about your specific requirements. You can always email us at ruffteamrealty at gmail.com, or you can email us at myurbanquarters@gmail.com. Both of those, and then we can help you out. It's absolutely free. Big booming cities all over, but look at the deal. I hope that answers your question. What have you sold so far? Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. We've done condos, houses, commercial properties, high rises, single family homes, detached multiplexes. We do a little bit of everything. It really depends on what you're looking for. And what I say for everybody, if you're going to be investing, is just follow the money. Iwa, you mentioned that it's backing onto the 401 actually, but a huge yard. Okay, being close to 401 is always amazing. Really depends on that wall in the back and how loud it is. So usually if your property backs to those big walls that separate you from the highway, you're going to have that noise. That usually pushes the property value down 8 to 10%. If you can be within like a 2 blocks kind of thing of the entrance to the highway where it's quiet, but you can get on the highway really fast, that'll push your property up 4 to 5%. Does that give you a good little thing to work with? I don't know where you are in the GTA, but that's just the general numbers to use because the noise bothers some people. But if you do live right there, right next to the wall, usually what people do is they put a little water feature outside, rocks, water coming down, kind of white noise, kind of drowned out that sound. That's what I would do if I were there. Can you talk about a Canadian investing in the United States? I think I already did. It is something that's very possible. We do it from a personal level, not my brokerage, but you have to talk to your accountant and your lawyer to do that. So it is harder to buy in the States. What I would do if I were you is you have to do a lot of due diligence. You need to find a really good lawyer in that area. So interview a lot. You need to have a very good property manager. You have to have a very good realtor. And if you can have these three and you find three good ones and they're all working together really, really well, you'll find a deal that is very good for you. Remember, always you want a deal that has enough margin in it that you can pay for property management. Property management normally charges 10%. So and some are less, some are more, but around 10. So make sure that you have enough cash flow coming in that you can pay for property management to be done. Remember, you don't want another job, right? You want this to be passive income as much as possible. You don't want a call to go change a toilet, right? You want somebody else to deal with that. You're in Central Etobicoke. Well, cool. So those percentages are going to be about time. What I had mentioned, if your property is right on the side of the highway, if it's touching that wall, then it's going to be a little bit of a downer on your property. If you could be a couple blocks away, you're going to be doing very good. You mentioned my neighbors are waiting for me to get a variance approved. So what is the variance for? So for you guys, I'm sorry, there's just so many questions coming in. So if that variance is for what we were talking about before, about putting that unit above you, if you're like the pioneer for your area, and you're the first person ever to put that unit up, it's a little bit tougher, man. I'm going to be honest with you. So the city will buck back and go, once we do this, it's going to open the dams and everybody's going to want to do it. So that happens sometimes. So don't be too discouraged if that's the first time, if you're the only one. But yeah, everyone's going to see blood in the water and jump on that for sure. Every guy, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the questions. This is my first time on here. I was going to make it a regular thing if it's what people actually want. If this is helpful, I'd really like to know if it's helpful. I'm just curious. If there's anything that we can do to help in any way, I would actually like to come on here every week. When we post stuff online, we had a really successful first month, man. We were 200,000 views in the first month, which was phenomenal, which leads me to believe that there's a huge gap in the market and people want to know this stuff. So I would like to make it a regular thing and help out in any way that we can. Very much so. Please have a forum on it. So I'm thinking of doing it every week. I don't know what time would be best for people, but I will continue to alert everybody on TikTok. As on the other channels to come here, but I kind of like TikTok. You said it's helpful, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's what we're here for. Is there any other things that are going on right now with you guys with real estate or financial freedom, financial literacy, questions that you have? I can tell you what I do personally, okay? So from a personal standpoint on finances, but I can't advise you in a legal fashion because I don't have my license in financial advisement. But I can talk to you a lot on how cash flow happens on individual properties, Hey, thank you very much. Can I read that? You look not only you said you project not only experience, but also transparency. I look for that. Thank you very much. That's what we try to be. You know that I've actually had people comment against me. We've had very bad things mentioned about us because we call people too much and let them know, hey, nothing is happening so far in your offer. We're still contacting them. They're like, well, why are you calling me if you don't have news for me? So I always am a fan of giving too much information, letting you know what's happening too much. And some people have been against that. But you know what? Overall, most people are generally really, really happy that we're that way. Tearing down the Sky Dome. See, they're bringing it back up. This is the first I've heard of this. Yeah, just Google it. It's all over the news. People were mentioning about, Rogers wants to tear the building down and put up condos all on the back end, right where the tracks are. They want to put up all these condos there and shrink the size of the stadium down to 20,000 instead of 55,000. I think it's 55. And maybe they said even move it outside. But from my experience, anytime that people say, yeah, maybe we're going to do it, means that they want to. And they're going to move it to cheaper property down on the lake shore, maybe even farther out. and then they're just going to build up all of the condos. Now, that is a very quick buck for Rogers, but it's very bad for the city. When you lose that revenue from millions of tickets that are going to be sold, the entire area, restaurants, tourist attractions, everything would suffer because of that. So I'm a man for the people. I'm really against it personally. But like I said before, if you want to tear down a huge place, 50,000, and make it bigger, better, then how can we say no to that, right? But moving it outside of the city, terrible, and reducing how many seats is also very, very bad from my perspective, and from a real estate perspective, and from an investment perspective. But yeah, it's a big thing. I'm not happy about it. This is my first time on it. I know I told you that. I just tried to scroll up, and I somehow lost like 5 questions. So if you want to put them back in, I'd be willing to answer them. Any tips on the rental formula, square footage, location, furnished or not? Yeah, I got lots of tips for that. We can talk about that all day. Okay, so if you're going to buy a place, we want what is going fastest, wherever it's going to be. Okay, so if we're downtown Toronto, what goes the best right now, this moment, this exact second? 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. It's the most in demand right now. Absolutely. That's what people want. That's what they're renting, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, but that doesn't mean that necessarily you should be buying a 2-bed, 2-bath, because it's at really good prices right now. The 1-beds right now are down 20%. Do you believe that Toronto's finished? It's never coming back. No one's ever going to live here again. No jobs here ever again. Because my previous 10 years, 1-bedrooms were always the most popular. It's where people made the most money, the most investments. So you have to figure out what is the best for you. Okay, so is it furnished or unfurnished going to be good for you? So furnished, absolutely, if you're going to do short-term. So short-term rentals, okay, generally for short-term, you're not going to rent for a 12-month period. You generally are renting them for 2 months, 3 months, 1 month, something like that. Sometimes they'll say 3-month minimum, 4-month minimum. But generally in a 12-month period, you're only going to rent it 9 months, 7 months. So you have to charge way more money. So typically it's almost double. So for a regular 2-bed, 2-bath, renting for $2,500 for a year, if you're going to get it furnished and you're going to rent it short-term, then you're going to be renting it for like $5,000 a month, because it has to be worth it for you. And it's still worth it for them because it's cheaper than a hotel. So you furnish it with IKEA stuff, you make it nice, but you're going to bring in towels, cutlery, like everything. You have it done up for them. It's like a hotel. You will make good money. So you don't want your whole portfolio to be that. You want it to be a portion of your portfolio. So if you have a lot of properties, but Airbnb in Toronto is a bit tough. But in other areas, we just did one where in a ski area, it does very, very, very well in the fall, like in the winter months when you can ski. And in the fall, there's a lot of quadding that happens. So they make their entire year's income just in that little piece of time. Location, this can be anywhere. This can look into your individual areas, man, because downtown Toronto has its own draw. Little towns where they're skiing has their own draws. So we just want to make sure we follow the deal. Where am I going to make the most money? And so we look at Airbnb and VRBO. We'll go on there and see what the prices are in the area and try and compare what we're looking to buy or build for that particular case. Furnished, yeah, Airbnb. For an individual unit, only a couple in your portfolio. So out of a 10 portfolio deal, you should have no more than 2 furnished if you're going to look at number of units. That's what I would do. In a small area, generally, people are always bringing their furniture with them, so you generally do a 12-month. You just finished a small unit and rented it out furnished. Sweet! Good for you. Good job, man. So generally, I can speak to Toronto. Generally, you make about 80 cents or $1 a square foot more per square foot for renting out a place. So imagine this easy math. 1,000 square feet, we rent it $3 a square foot a month. That's $3,000 a month. If it's furnished, $1 more per square foot, that's $4,000 a month. Okay, and that's if it's for a 1 year term. So if you're going to be taking it and looking at it from a short-term perspective, then it might have to be $5,000 a month for that unit, because you're only renting it for 2-3 months at a time, and everyone only wants to be here in the summer or spring, right? Everyone wants to leave in the winter, so it'll usually be empty for the winter. So something to look at for that. But as far as the furnished, if you're going to look at the money that you spend on the unit versus what you get on return versus the money you spend on your furniture versus the return on your furniture on a furnished unit is amazing. So the question is not whether it's a good deal or not. It always is, but it's a question of, can I get it finished? Can I get it filled? Because I never really know if you can find that many short-term people. That's the tough one. Okay, you just finished my tiny studio inside my attached garage, fully private laundry and kitchen. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, do you have parking outside for everybody? Because if you have parking outside for everybody and that's not a problem, then you're great, you're golden. But a lot of times I'm seeing people make these mistakes where they're converting their entire garage into a unit and there's still only 2 parking spots outside. Then people don't want to rent it out. And when we go to try and sell that place, it becomes a nightmare too. So what we really want is not a single lane where you have cars like this and then you're always having to do the dance of pulling cars out. You really want to have a double lane. If you don't have a double lane, this is where we get into that minor variance thing again. Because you can go to the city and ask them, can I have more driveway, wider driveway? And so if you walk around your neighborhood and see a lot of people with double wide driveways and yours is a single, you can make that request. So they normally will cut out the sidewalk. I did a video on that, cut out the sidewalk for like $100. It's really, really cheap. And then you have to put more asphalt in to make that so you can park 4 cars. If you do that, each city ordinance has their own way of calculating it. It's just how much square feet of land are you allowed in the front yard to have asphalt on. So normally it's a percentage. You're allowed 50% of your front yard in asphalt or 70%. I've seen some places that are 100%. So it really depends on your area. But what you want, parking. Really, really important. But good job on converting it. 225 square feet for $1,400. Is that a good price? That sounds really small. Where on earth is 225 square feet for $1,400? That is really, really tiny. So off the top of my head, I don't know any units that are 225 in Toronto. I don't know any ones that are around. I'm guessing that is a shared unit. So they do have some co-living ones that's happening. So 225 will be your private area, and not including the shared kitchen, shared bathroom. But off the top of my head, I would say that probably is about good, but I'd really have to see more about it. Contact me anytime, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. Send me something. I'll actually look at it and I'll get back to you, because we have to actually see if the individual building is a good building for you. We want to make sure that the building is in good shape, not overrun with rats or cockroaches or bad people, bad area. I just have to see that. As you go though, the price per square foot is kind of like the Costco effect. The more square feet you rent or buy, the cheaper it's going to be, right? So if you get into a giant 2,000 square foot unit, you're going to get a great price per square foot. But the smaller it gets, the more expensive it gets. So you might be at that $5-6 range per square foot when you get very, very tiny, which seems to be what you're close to right now. But happy to look at it for you. Just contact me at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com anytime. You said that your place is fully detached, Iwa? Okay. Oh, you have, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up with all these different guys. Woo! All these comments. Thanks, you guys. Man, I thought I'd only be on here for like 20 minutes. Tons of parking that you have out front. You have a double detached garage and 9-car parking. Sweet! It's amazing, man. That's exactly what you got to do. I'm glad you did that. It's amazing. Hopefully you can so a lot of people, when they do that, square footage is king, right? Build that big garage out, and then a lot of people want a place to still put their lawnmower and whatever, so put a shed in the back, where you have access to put your snowblower and stuff. So put a big, good shed out back, not like the Costco plastic ones. Put a good one out back and you'll be fine. 9 parking. Amazing. You've done really, really well. That's exactly what I would have done. Thoughts on Prince Edward County versus Niagara on the Lake for Airbnb investment? Okay, both of them are good. We've done investments in both of those areas. Thanks for all your questions. I really appreciate it. Am I a real estate agent? Yes, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a broker. I'm the team lead for Ruff Team Realty. We work with Remax Urban and Remax Condos Plus. So we're at Bay and Queens Quay downtown. So there's a little bit of a difference between a sales agent and a broker, just more responsibility, more designations, essentially. Can we go back to the Prince Edward County versus Niagara? I like both of those areas, to be honest with you. They're both really good. But we would lean more heavily towards the Niagara on the lake area for Airbnb, just because there's more things around it as far as airports, hospitals, as far as a future investment proof. more people are going to the Niagara region than Prince Edward County. As far as myself, where I would like to go, I like going to Prince Edward County, man. I like the little quiet life and all the like little painters out there, all these artisans. It's really fun to go to. Plus, we have friends out there. But as far as an investment, I would lean more that way because I think that's a cheaper insurance for you down the road. You're going to be safer there because it's still considered like within the golden horseshoe rather than outside. But again, we have to drill down to the individual deal. So if you actually have a house that you're looking at, feel free. You can email me at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. Send it to me. I'll look at it completely free. Doesn't cost you anything. And I'll give you my opinion on it. No problem. So I answered that. I hope that was okay. Yes, I am a broker. I think that was the last question on Prince Edward County versus Niagara on the Lake. Is that the last one? So if there's any other questions, that's where I would lean. I just want you to be safe with your money. I think in the long term, you really have to be safe with your money and actually be very strategic with every single move you make. Myself, though, we do have different properties around, but the properties that I personally own are going to be properties that I'm always looking at the individual deal. And I can't stress that enough over and over again because people get hung up on the area. Literally, I would be looking at more different areas. There was a couple of you that were asking a lot of questions and that hung out a long time here, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is the first time on TikTok. I'm planning to be here every week answering all of your real estate questions, all of your financial literacy questions, and moving on from that, any ways that we can help you. We're downtown. You can always meet us down here. We generally set appointments with people because we're always out working. To be honest, we're not usually sitting in an office just waiting, right? So we can plan that out, and we're doing a lot of Zoom meetings these days. So a lot. So if you ever wanted a private one, you can always contact us, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com anytime you want, or you can direct message me here on TikTok or any of the other platforms. We just started a few weeks ago on social media. We've got 200,000 views in the first month, so it's pretty incredible. We're really happy with it, and hopefully we're going to be moving on from this to a lot bigger role. We want to serve. That's our main goal. I mean, not getting too personal, but I was a kid that had cancer. I had leukemia. I was sick for 5 years. And twice, the Make-A-Wish Foundation gave me tickets to go see the Montreal Canadiens and Quebec Nordiques. So it was a big deal for me. So we like to give back and give back huge, as much as possible. So we team up with the Make-A-Wish Foundation for terminally ill children, and we try and give a portion of our proceeds to them because we want to be a community leader. We want to really help out, If there's anything that we can ever do for you, we're always here. But I'm even happy just to give you free advice, and I want people to succeed. Toronto is a very, very expensive place. It's very hard to make it here. But people do come here because of the benefits that Toronto has. Toronto has so many cool things to offer you, but you have to bust your ass, to be honest. I came here 15 years ago, man. I was working 80 hours a week for years to make it. So it was really, really tough for me. You live alone in a 4-bedroom. What should you do with the house? So it really depends. Where's your 4-bedroom, bud? Thank you for giving me questions. It's hard to come up with stuff on the top of my head. So it really depends where you have a 4-bedroom. So if you had a 4-bedroom downtown, I would be selling the thing and moving into something smaller. If you have a 4-bedroom in a small town where 4 bedrooms are more common, like where my sister lives, 4 bedrooms are pretty much the standard. It's not like 3 bedrooms like in the suburbs. Then I would say you're going to be hanging on to it for now. Do you mind me asking where you're living with your 4-bedroom home? You're looking to buy a dozen units for investment purposes. Can you help? Yes, I'd love to help you. Now, I'm in the Greater Toronto area. So if you're looking in the Greater Toronto area, we work from Barrie over to Oshawa, over to Hamilton. That's generally our area. Now we have affiliates that we work with in other cities, maybe Ottawa, if you're thinking about there, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, like these smaller towns. So we can help set you up with other people, but where our expertise lie is really in the Greater Toronto area, and we actually sometimes go outside of that into the Golden Horseshoe, like the Niagara on the Lake, down that corridor. We just did one in London as well. So don't always just get hung up on the area. Look at the deal, okay? The deal. I can't stress that enough. If you look at that and the deal makes sense, and I want you buying a property, never overpaying. You wouldn't believe we spend more of our time telling clients to walk away from deals than actually buy it. We draw a line in the sand before you're even going to go in, because you guys see how many times they're going to auction, how many bidding wars there's happening here. 14 bids, 20 bids. It's absolutely bananas. So we put a line in the sand. We say, don't pay over this. And if it goes over that, we're happy for you to walk away. We want you to keep the cash in your pocket. So thank you very much for even considering that. If you were interested, we'd love to apply for the position. ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. Contact us anytime, and we'd love to chat with you. It's a free consultation. We don't charge for any consultations at any time. You're looking to, okay, that was for you. Thank you very much for your question. You're looking across the GTA. You care about the deal. I love it. Sounds like my type of person, man. I love that. So yes, look at different parts of the GTA. So right now, it depends on the type of person that you are, right? Are you buying properties that are already done like crazy good? Or are you looking for the deals of the properties that have been really beaten up? Like we were talking about before, the greatest ones were the Kawartha Lakes and Muskoka, up 44%. That's a lot, right? 44%, that's bananas. But certain properties, like the downtown one bedrooms, are down 20%. We just did one at 22% off of what it was a few months ago. So then you can get some really good deals. So it really, really depends on the type of area that you're going to be looking at, the type of unit, and there's a lot to get into when we're going to be talking about that. So type of area, is there high income in the area? We also can look at the census for high education. We can look at the type of incomes that are in an area. Demographics, meaning like if there's children or not, in a lot of kids in that area, meaning the schools will stay open more, the hospitals are likely to stick around. We want to have a place that is very insulated. So a lot of the metrics that we use, it doesn't actually matter where we're going to buy. So I had a client call me up and ask me to go sell him a house that is way outside of Toronto. And I had never been there before, never worked in the area. With the experience of buying a lot of properties, you get to see all of these rules that you need to follow. I could get dropped out of an airplane into any city, and with the rules that I've already learned over years and years, you can buy good properties for good prices no matter where you are. And so some of those are like what we always say, buy near hard assets, buy the lake, buy the subway, buy a hospital, buy the airport, the things that are never going to move. So if you remember 2017, Leslieville was the hottest area. I mean, like it was 30% year over year gone up, something like that, 30 or 33%. It was crazy. People were like, what is it? FOMO. Yeah, that's what it is. Fear of missing out. People were piling into that area because they thought that it's going to keep going like that. Now, that's a fad. You don't want to follow fads, right? Now, it has done well. Of course, it's 2 kilometers from Toronto. Done very well. But if you look at the metrics of it, they do have the lake nearby, but transit sucks. And if you look at the amount of income for the people, that demographic over there, it was actually not that high. So they were hoping a lot of high income people were going to move into the area, and transit was very bad. You'd have to get on that streetcar 45 minutes in the morning. So where it was good was for people who worked from home, had their own business, and they never had to travel. It was really good to be at the lake, and a lot of baby strollers rolling around. So then that would be good for somebody like them. But don't buy the fad. Always buy hard assets. If you remember anything from this conversation, buy near hard assets. That's what I would tell you all the time. And work with a really good person. Oh, Burr. I'm assuming you're talking about the Burr method, not how cold it is outside. I'm hating the cold right now. I used to love the cold, man, when I was young, but now I stinking hate it. My fingers are freezing. It's very hard to open all the lock boxes and work outside with a pen in the freezing cold. I hate it. So the Burr method, does everyone know what the Burr method is? So it's to buy, repair the house. You want to refinance it, repeat it, and you want to rent it out. So you want to buy a house below what the property is worth. So that's going to be very hard in a place like Toronto. But as more foreclosures are going to be coming up in the new year, that's what we are looking for all the time too. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, company-owned properties, and the things you're not going to find online. So that's where we go and find those properties, and we try and get our investors to get into those. Generally speaking, though, the banks are going to be trying to open them up to some kind of bidding. So our main goal is that you're going to be getting them for market value, but after our matrix has gone through our market value, and not let you pay more than that, because so many of the properties now are selling for 10%, 12% over market value. And that's what we are playing huge defense. We don't want you to pay more money than you have to on these properties. So it's a very long method to get to. But if you buy it properly, and then you're able to repair it on the cheap. Now that's another huge one, okay? Right now, the COVID repairs are going nuts. Absolutely crazy. So what's happening? If you go to Rona or Home Depot or wherever, you'll see lumber now, $7.99 for a 2x4. Prices have like almost quadrupled. Crazy on some stuff. So if you can buy the material at a very low, reasonable price, like on sale, and it's still a good price, not COVID pricing, and you can get somebody to come and repair it, and then we're not talking about the COVID prices. So right now, before, I could get a painter for 20, 25 bucks an hour. I have painters now that want to charge me $70 an hour because everybody is stuck at home. They're looking at their own walls going, I can't even stand the cracks in the wall, and I got to call someone in to fix this thing right away. That's happening everywhere, okay? So prices for labor and material are going crazy. So buy at a very low price. You don't want to overpay for your property. Repairing it, making sure that you're making sure the material costs and the labor costs are kept under control. Then you're going to want to rent it out and refinance that thing. So what is refinance? You know that if you buy the house for $500,000 and then you put $100,000 of repairs into it, now you're in $6,000. They'll come and evaluate it. Hopefully, they're going to tell you your property is worth $750,000 now. And now you have $150,000 of equity. So now you want to have an 80% loan on that. Get all your money that you can out of it and only let the equity be sitting and riding on that thing. Take all your money out and then go find another property. So the majority of the BRRRR method, what you're looking for is having really trusted guys on your side, like all these construction guys, and making sure that you can have a good realtor to help you out so you can buy the property at a really good rate. So the refinancing and the repeating is kind of like the similar thing. Renting it out is where a realtor can help you. The refinancing is generally pretty easy, but it gets a little bit harder once you have your portfolio at a certain size. So like if you only make $100,000 a year, you might have real trouble getting 3 or 4 properties. There's some things that we can talk about when we look into that. They don't always account for the total amount if it's leased out. So they might want to know if you can carry the whole 2 mortgages by yourself. And you're like, that's ridiculous. I'm never going to be able to have it empty the whole time. But that's how a bank will look at it. But if you have a lease in place, you already can prove to them that it's leased out. The bank will help you out a lot. And they'll usually give you 50%. That's what they'll gauge, that the place will be empty for 50% of the year. So it'll be a little bit of a dance sometimes for you to get into that. But BRRRR method is tried, tested, true, and is awesome. Do you need 20% down to buy a home? Hells to the no. Way less. Are you from America? Or are you from Canada? Okay, from the States, 3%, most places. In Canada, 5%. So 5% down for your own personal home. Okay, that's all you need. So it's not very much. 20% if it's an investment property. So can I talk about that for 1 second? 20% down. People get really hung up on this because there is a interest rate that we have to pay, right? The mortgage insurance. So if you pay 5% down, you have to pay mortgage insurance all the way up to 20%. At 20%, you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. So a lot of people go, well, hell yeah, that's what I have to put down. I have to put down 20% because at 20%, I don't pay that extra fee. Okay, so that's really good to think of that way, but look at it from a bank's perspective. So if you put 5% down, if you don't pay, well, the insurance is going to pay. So how much risk do I have as the bank? The insurance is going to pay me. Low risk, right? So low interest. So a lot of these advertised things, did you see right just now 0.99% interest just became available in Canada? 0.99, lowest in 5,000 years. Absolutely crazy. So 0.99, that's on high value mortgages, 5% down only. But as soon as you get to 20%, think of it from a bank perspective. If you don't pay, I have no insurance. I got 80% skin in the game. This guy's only got 20. That's a lot of danger for me. Okay, more risk means higher rates most of the time. So 5% down might be 1% interest rate. Once you get to 20% down, the rate might be 2.5% because there's a lot more risk to the bank. And then once you start getting to like 30, 35% down, then the rate comes back down and might be 1% again. So a lot of people, almost everyone I talk to, always wants to put that 20% down. But if you look at it from a finance perspective, putting that 20% down might be worse for you because the rate might be so much higher than if you put 5% down. The payment on the insurance might be way less on you, And you might save a lot more money if you just put 5% down and then use all that extra income that you have to buy another rental property. So this is where a realtor can really help you out. Sit down with you, talk about your individual personal needs. You can contact us anytime, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. So that was, do you need 20% down to pay for a home? Absolutely not. You do not. Sorry, guys, been talking a lot, man. I've had a lot of questions today. Really appreciate all the questions. You knocked down the doors last week? Always ready for a deal. You knock on doors last week. Oh, sorry. So you're going from door to door looking to buy people? Are you a wholesaler? That's amazing that you're doing that. That's like so proactive, man. Getting out there, knocking on doors. That you're hustling. That's awesome, man. Keep going. Keep knocking on those doors. Get some deals going. And as soon as you get them, right, that's that BRRRR method. If you can buy cheap, get a real good guy in there that you know, low cost for labor, low cost for all the materials, and rent that thing out. Trust me, rentals are going up next year, big time, okay? As foreclosures happen and all these properties are going foreclosures and they're losing, okay, they can't afford their mortgage, they're gonna be moving out of their places when all the programs stop, et cetera, et cetera. When that happens, rentals go up. So what do you think is happening right now? Right now, downtown Toronto, one bedrooms are going down in price, they're down 20%. But what happens in the worst case scenario? Okay, say we go into a recession. Okay, say that happens. What happens to rentals? Prices go up because everybody can't afford a house anymore. But everyone's got to live somewhere. So they're moving into these rentals and the prices go up. So my mom and dad used to winter down in Florida every single year. They didn't like the cold either, same as me. So when they would go down there before the last recession, like 2006, whatever, they'd pay like $1,000 for a 2-bedroom place. But as soon as the recession happened, they were paying like $1,800 for a 2-bedroom place. Same place in the same condo building. So the prices went way up because there were, I mean, it was really bad in the States. Multiple families moving into these places just to survive. It was terrible. But from an investment point of view, the demand will go way up. That's really good for you. You know that I'm a realtor, but are there fakers out there? Yes. There's so many fakers out there. It's crazy. So some people have been cloning my name, my brokerage, and putting it all over the internet on these third-party sites like Zoomper and stuff. And I get phone calls and they're like, "Hi, David, I'm interested in this property." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Because on their sites, they're like, "Click here on this link to go here, blah, blah, blah." And they're going to go down a rabbit hole. Don't ever send anybody any money. You know, there are fraudulent things out there. We had some trouble, the ones that we identified from Russia and from Moldova that were cloning some sites. They were also using our names and our logos on stuff. So it can be a little bit shady. So make sure that you are dealing with a realtor. So if you're in Ontario, where I am, I'm in Toronto, you can go to the Real Estate Council of Ontario, RECO. I think it's .on.ca. So the Real Estate Council of Ontario is kind of like the police of the real estate world. You can go on there and actually look up a realtor and type in their name and see that they're actually a licensed person. So I would make sure that they're always real. On top of making sure that they're real, I would also want to know their credentials and know that know what they're talking about. Can I give you some crazy numbers? New York City, I think there are 25 million people, have 26,000 agents, something like that, okay? Toronto has 70,000 agents. 70! Chicago's the same size as we are, and they have like 13,000 agents. So everyone and their dog has a license here in Toronto. But if you actually look at the credentials, I think it was something like 35,000 of the agents never sold one last year. 0. 25,000 of them sold one. So if you're actually looking for the people who actually work in this position all the time and know what they're talking about, you're actually not dealing with a huge number of agents. So I would make sure that, yes, that they're actually licensed, but also that they know what they're talking about and that they work in this all the time. And it's somebody that you have a good relationship with. You know, this is a long dance. It's a long procedure to find a home. The close is usually months away. So you want to be able to work with somebody really well and like that person, you know. So I think there was another step, but just be careful about the fake stuff out there. Now, realtors are not always fake. It can also be the builders that were building the home. And it's not usually a big builder. It's those people that come in for renovations. So what we see is a lot is people will bring 20 members of their family from another country, and they'll come in and do all the repairs, kind of slapstick inside. None of it will be done well. None of it will be done to code. And we want to stay away from homes like that. And there's a lot of telltale signs when you walk into a home. I've been in thousands of homes. So there's things that catch my eye right away. And I'm like, we're out. I'm not even interested in this place. So there's different levels that you have to make sure of. And you want to make sure that you have a good realtor. One crazy thing that happened to me is I actually had a contract. I had it on my phone. It came in for me to review because everything comes through my entire group and my team has to come through me. I refused to read it on my phone. I got to my laptop, and buried in the fine print in Scheduled A, like 5 pages in, was one sentence that my screener lost. They missed it. And it said that if this property is evaluated at a different price, you will respect that price, not the selling price. Oh my God. Okay, so if we sold the place for $500,000 and somebody came in later and said it was worth $300,000, that means I'd have to honor the $300,000? That's insane. You would have lost your life's work over one sentence. So you really have to be careful with this, okay? But the crazy thing is that other realtor was doing his job. So every realtor's job, once you have a client, is a fiduciary responsibility toward his client, right? Fiduciary is a weird word, right? A legal requirement to have his best interest of the client. So I have to fight for you, not for the other guy. So that guy was actually fighting for his client by trying to rip us off. So if you don't have a good agent that is very nimble and knows how this is working, you have to make sure that he will catch stuff like that for you, you know? So be very, very careful. There is a lot of shady stuff that goes out there. So you want to work with an agent who has been doing it a while, you know? The average right now is that realtors burn out in under 36 months. It's like a 92%, or it's like a huge percentage of realtors come in, they think that money is going to rain from the heavens, it's going to be so easy, and they burn out and they're gone. So there's a few people that stick around forever, and that whole rest of that 70,000 list, they're just churning in and out. So, you know, everybody that I know knows 5 agents, but everybody I know has like 50 bad stories with realtors. They really make us look bad. So really do your due diligence, man. When you're out there, I would really say be very, very careful. Thank you for all the questions, you guys. You can say Ben Jarvis is canceled. Can you say Ben Jarvis has been canceled? What's that? I don't know what that is. Do you see housing costs coming down? No. Okay, now, listen, let me put a caveat to that, guys. Okay, so everyone thinks that, oh, you're just another realtor. You're just saying that property values are always going to go up, blah, blah, blah. It's not what I'm saying at all. There's always going to be ups and downs, okay? Recessions are going to happen and prices are going to come down, okay? But the government needs money desperately. They're printing money like crazy, okay? So there's only two ways. There's only two. If you look at economics, only 2 ways to make money for a government. They either tax or they devalue their currency. How do you devalue your currency? By printing truckloads of it, okay? And spraying money everywhere. It's the only 2 ways. So a government now is either trying to tax. So if you put high taxes, everybody's angry about it. If you put high money printing and giving money away, then when that happens, you're devaluing your currency, which is going to lead to big inflation, huge inflation. So if inflation happens, the number on the house, okay, so the purchasing power today of $1 million will not be a purchasing power of $1 million 5 years from now, right? It's going to get diluted with inflation. So your $1 million home today, if you had a mortgage for $1 million, I don't know. It depends on how much the government's going to print. Millions more, billions down the road, your house might go from $1 million to $5 million, but it may still only be worth the same amount. Does that make any sense? That's kind of crazy, right? But if we look down in places like Venezuela that was money printing like crazy, what are they buying? $3 million for a chicken? Okay, so as you keep printing money, it's worth less and less. So that's why if you're looking at investment properties now, it's not so much the demand is going to go up, right? It's not always demand. It can be devaluing a currency. I did a video of that. It's really important for you to know that. The 3 main reasons that you're going to most likely have a lot more price tag on the properties is Trudeau has already mentioned, and he's the Prime Minister of Canada, if I have any of my American friends on here. Trudeau has already said he wants to bring 1 million people here within 2 years, and 40% of them come to Toronto. Okay, so there's your demand, okay? He's going to open the floodgates and bring trainloads of people here. Okay, there's your demand. But number two, he said he's going to keep the interest rates at this rate until 2023. It's never been lower in 5,000 years. As soon as he pushes those rates down, prices soar. And guess what? I don't know if any of you nerds out there read the budget like I do. They passed the framework for NIRP, NIRP, negative interest rate policy. So if they're going to go into the negatives, prices are going to go even higher. And then last is devaluing the currency. You tell me, is the government printing a lot of money now, or are they taxing the rich people and taxing companies? They're not doing that. They're printing money like it's going out of style. So, I mean, they've already told you what they're going to do. So the number on your house sticker price is going to skyrocket, but not necessarily your purchasing power. So the most deadly thing that's going to hurt you now is if you're sitting in cash. You sit in cash, you're going to get wiped out. But you can sit in assets, and that's another discussion you can have. Do you want to have stocks? Do you want to have a rental properties? Like, what do you want to buy? Do I have crypto? So I have my own views on that, and I have a little bit of everything. But the mix depends on who you are as a person. But I don't see the costs necessarily coming down like what you think. They might come down temporarily. Once programs end, there might be a little bit of a dip before the huge money printing comes on. So that's what I would look for. 5% down on an income property. Sounds like a terrible idea. You can't. No, that's what I was saying. 5% down is for your personal home. Only for your personal home. If you want to buy an investment property, it has to be 20% down. And that's whether you're buying it within a holding company, within an LLC in the States. It's 20% down on that. 5% down for your personal home in Canada. 3% down if you're going to buy a property in the States. Thanks for all your questions, guys. Less than 20% down, you don't have to go, less than 20% down, don't you have to go through CMHC? Hell yeah, guess what? That was the insurance, the mortgage insurance I was talking about. So less than 20%, you got to pay the insurance, but it's not always a bad deal. Because if you put down 20%, in many cases, depending on who you are, you're going to have to pay a much higher interest rate. So if you look at, I'm saving $8,000 on insurance by only paying the 20% just under that line, but you have to pay 1% more on your interest rate. You might be paying $60,000 more in interest, I don't know, over the term, depending on your house, to save $8,000. So you really have to look at this both ways, okay? What's costing me more? Is the interest rate costing me more, or is the mortgage? But just don't get hung up on, do I have to pay CMHC? Because it's not the end of the world. You really have to look at it all. And if you have a good mortgage broker, they're going to help walk you through that, If you guys don't have a good mortgage broker, I don't get any referral fees for any of them. I have 2 guys that work for me. You can always contact us at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as fast as possible, and I can put you in the hands of somebody. Again, legally speaking, I'm not ever allowed to receive any type of affiliate marketing or referral fees for it. It's generally just to help you out. Now, mortgage agents are always free. You can get their opinions for free. Same as us as a realtor, you can have a consultation with us. We'll talk about your certain situation. When you're going through that process, it's free. So I don't know why more people don't use it. It blows my mind. I don't get it. More people should be using mortgage brokers and really good agents to get their feedback. Knowledge is power, man. Maybe you can get some really good information from them, even if you don't like to work with them. But if you do like to work with them, then you won, right? You got somebody really cool in your corner that wants to fight for you. Yes, under 20% you pay CMHC. Yeah, you answered my question for me. Thanks, man. Did somebody here just ask me if I want to go for coffee? Thanks, man. I just lost that comment. There's a lot of comments coming in, so I don't know how to get farther up. It's not letting me go farther up. So Shirley Desjardins. Tu parles français aussi? Moi, j'étais né à Montréal. Je parle un peu de français, j'ai appris dans l'école. I speak French and English, but I don't get a chance to use it very much here anymore, right? But I've been here for 15 or 17 years, a long, long time. My family's actually English. We come from Quebec. It's just where we worked, but my family's from out west. You've been looking for a few months, and you want to have a summer home too. Okay, just personal opinion. You should not buy a summer home now. That's not a good idea. If you were going to buy a summer home, were you here before? Kawartha Lakes, Muskoka up 44%. Most of the summer homes around, they're at record-breaking prices. And I'm not one to pay that huge premium. I would be buying things right now instead with your money, like low things that are on discount. One bedroom places 20% off that they were just a few months ago. Or buy a cash flowing property in a smaller town. Or maybe I was talking before about Texas, Louisiana, things that are going to be making you money right now. And then in like 1 to 2 years, those properties up there are going to be having a big downer. They cannot keep at this pace. So right now I wouldn't be looking at that, but I would be looking at an investment property right now. It says that Canada is so complicated and anti-intellectual. Okay. I don't really know how to take that, man. Canada is complicated. I totally agree. Non-intellectual. I like to think of myself as very intellectual. I read a lot. But anyways, that's okay. Shirley, your long-term planning, thinking about a cottage. Yeah, so that's what I was saying to you before. Personally, I would buy investment properties right now. That's what you should be looking at, hands down. But look not always within your area, look outside your area. Make sure that it is something that it has good cash flow potential, good appreciation. Make that money, put that money in your pocket, and guess what? With that money, you're going to use it to rent the summer home maybe next summer or in the middle of winter when you're going away. So focus right now on that cash flowing asset. Buy maybe properties that are down 20% today, because in the future, you're going to see a huge dip in the cottage market. And when that happens, that's when you want to be ready to buy. So I wouldn't do that right now. What is this? Canada too. You're in Canada too? Cool. Butterfly Demon. It's kind of scary. How's London, Ontario market? London is doing very, very good. We just bought a property in London a couple months ago for ourselves. We just did one about 10 days ago. So remember, it's not always the area. Look at the deal itself. That's where you're going to see the money is printed. A lot of it happens on the buy. So don't pay 10, 12% more to get in a property. You wouldn't believe how many people fall in love with the property, and for some reason they have to have it and overpay for properties. Don't do that, okay? Buy smart. Buy the property at fair market value or below, and make sure that we have good potential in the property. HSBC is doing less than 1%. Is that true? Yes, it is. 0.99%. First time in 5,000 years that the rate has been this low. I've never seen that. So guess what happens when rates go low, guys? Prices go up. The lower the price goes, the prices go up. The higher the interest rate goes, man, some of you must have been around in the 80s, right? The prices collapse when the interest rate goes up, because you can pay like $2,000 a month. Like, that's what you can pay. So whether it's all principal, which is what it is now at 0.99% interest, there's no interest. So the whole thing is principal. They're still going to pay $2,000 a month. Most people buy properties based on their payment. It's just how it is. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that, okay? Very, very good point. Yes, it is true. But that is not on all mortgages. It's only on high ratio mortgages. So when you put 5% down on your property and you have 95% of your home mortgage, they'll give you the 0.99%. Of course, there's a couple other little things, but it never happens when you're at 20% and you're just trying to hit your 20 to get out from paying your CMHC, your mortgage insurance. That's not going to be the case where they'll let you have it. It's very specific people, and it's good advertising for them. The London market, I mentioned to you already, right? That was a good place. We do work in there. Julianne, you said thanks for the advice, man. I appreciate all the pick-me-ups, man. It's the first time me doing this, man. I've never done this before. We do advertise in the summertime, especially, and the fall when people are planning for their next year. We do meet in groups of 10 or 15 people. I'm usually leading it, and we have a room. COVID can't happen right now, where we get together, we exchange some ideas, and I tell people the big things that are happening as far as tax planning. Sometimes we'll bring in a tax planner or a mortgage broker, something like that, where we can really bounce ideas off and you can get some information. These are free. We give away prizes for it. If you ever want to be on a Zoom one, maybe we're open to doing that. And in addition to doing these lives, we hand out prizes that are there as well. You can contact us, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. We're downtown on Bay Street, but we work everywhere in the GTA, up from Barrie, Oshawa, out to Hamilton, somewhere in that area. I just hope that some of this stuff is helpful for you guys. What do you think about Windsor? So London has typically done better than Windsor as a whole, but coming down, Windsor has a lot of government departments that are there, which will always support the area. So we've done properties that are down there as well. Again, we focus down on the deal, right? So finding that deal and doing all of that homework in the background is a lot of work. Like I was mentioning before, we have one program that's like $10,000. We have several other programs that we use, and we push all these deals through these matrix of tests that we have to go through. It takes about 4 or 5 hours of work. We have a dedicated statistician that works with us to go through it. So there's a lot more into it rather than, you see, I have these little sheets. You guys must have seen these sometimes with just a picture and then some brief information. So usually a realtor is going to show up with this paper. He's going to go, oh, okay, so you see this and this price. Yeah, it's a 4-bedroom. I think you should buy it. Are you kidding me? You have to do a lot more homework than that, man. So this is what you'll see a realtor normally hand out. You have to do a lot of homework, a lot of statistics to make sure that it's a good deal for you. So we want to make sure it's a good deal. Windsor, there's a lot of good deals that are happening there. I would suggest that if you find something that looks good for you, and it also depends how close you are to the unit. Typically speaking, our typical investor here is always within driving range of their unit. So you want to be able to get to your unit and back in the same day. So that's probably 80% of our investors. So the majority of our investors only want to buy near their home. So that's probably like 50% or something like that, 50, 60% want to buy right next to their home, right next in Toronto. A smaller percentage of people are willing to be there within drivable range within a day. So you want to be able to get there and back in the same day. So, drive 4 hours or something like that away from here to check on the property. And then a very small amount of people are willing to invest out of the country. And that's typically United States. But I think Windsor is a good idea if you guys want to look at that. Let's see what else. 2021 would be more dangerous to buy? Not necessarily, bro. Like I keep on saying, it's all about the deal. So most people are saying 2021 will be a bad year to buy. Why? Because they think that the properties are going to go down in value. Okay, so the reasons why I was mentioning why the properties are not necessarily going to go down in value is because of the huge money printing and the devaluing of the currency. So that'll push prices up. Also, Canada has passed a negative interest rate policy to allow us to go into negative rates, which will also put prices up. But you're always looking at it from the point of what did I pay versus what I get back. Remember that the rental prices will go through the roof in hard times. So we're looking at each individual deal, right? So it's not necessarily going to be more dangerous to buy. It might be a way better time to buy. I can only tell you from my perspective, I got cash waiting, ready to buy more properties next year because there will be good deals for sure. But I found some deals even right now that we're getting because some people have to get out. So what will happen to the real estate market in 2021? Also with the prices areas, Milton. So for any of you that are not outside of the GTA, Milton is kind of within the GTA. We expect prices right now temporarily to continue. Rates going down, interest rates going down, and devaluing the currency. And we see a trend of people leaving the downtown and moving out. But that always reverses. So whenever there is a bad market, people will retreat. So what is the most expensive thing besides your home? I'm going to give you a second. What do you think? Your car. Your car payment is generally like $1,000 for car, gas, insurance, maintenance, all together. So people want to get rid of their car in a downturn. Where is the best transit anywhere? Is downtown. I can move downtown and pay $100 a month, be on a subway, and get around everywhere within a couple blocks. So generally during down times, like bad periods, the people who really have to will be migrating towards cities. And so I think Milton in the short term is going to be doing very well. And then there will be a period where the downtown will be doing better than Milton. But typically speaking, the farther you leave from Toronto, or any major city, the cheaper the properties will get. In the Greater Toronto Area, the one weird place is Barrie. Barrie, for some reason, does not follow that law. It's now very, very expensive. We used to be heavy investors there up to about 3 years ago, and prices just crossed the line to where it wasn't worth it anymore. But there still are sometimes deals to be had, right? We have to make sure that we look out for that. Trump 2020. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I think he lost. I think that's the news. You guys, I'm really sorry. I've never been on TikTok before. This is my first live. Thank you guys for all showing up. I tried to swipe up on some of the questions, and I lost some of them, and I don't know how to get them back. But I'm glad that you're there. One of you, I guess, is referring to my viral video about the Sky Dome. Tear it down. You said tear down the Sky Dome. I don't think it's a good idea, man. You lose the stadium from here. People are going to be pissed. I think it was 7.5 million tickets that they sold. 7.5 million seats that they have to sell every year between the conferences and the concerts and the sports venues and everything else that they have there. So my beef is not about tearing it down and making a nice one. It's about reducing the number of seats and maybe moving it out of Toronto. If you move it to Lakeshore or farther, even outside of Toronto, that's a bad thing for the city. If you make it from 50,000 seats down to 20, that's a bad thing for the city. And so property values go down in that case. Remember, it's not just the seats at the stadium. It's more restaurants are being full, more tourist attractions are full, the double-decker buses, more people to the island. I mean, they're spreading money everywhere, right? So it has trickle-down effects. So you're saying it's a good thing to buy outside the city right now? I'm saying follow the deal, man. That's it. Follow the deal, wherever you're going to make the most money. So yes, I look outside the city regularly for myself and for clients. So we're looking in places like Guelph and London and so forth, different places. We're looking for that. But also in Toronto, there's really good deals. Like I was saying before, 20% off in some properties. The things are on sale. So now is the time to buy things that are on sale, right? I don't want to buy the things where they're at a premium, those super, super high cost properties. Have you seen what's been happening like in Mississauga? Homes now, like a 4-bedroom home selling for 1.4 million on the same day with 12 offers. I mean, the prices are just out of whack. Those are not worth it. And you've got to be very careful not to overpay for those homes because people get caught up in this auction business. So I'm saying it's a good idea to make sure that you find the right deal. Lily, you're pissed. You think the Sky Dome is iconic, man. You're one of the only ones with me that think it's iconic. Every photo of the Toronto skyline has that dome, you know? Everywhere in the world, you see a couple towers, the dome, and then the CN Tower. I mean, they're saying we should tear it down so we can build more condos. Why don't you tear down the CN Tower then, too? Why don't we tear down the Distillery District and everything else that has any value of the city and just put condos on it? And the point is if we build bumper to bumper apartments from end to end, like, I mean, the whole city, nothing but, we'll look like some communist regime with nothing to do here and no one will ever come here. So tear it down, but build something that's bigger and better. Don't move it out, you know? That's why I get so upset about it. You're making fun of me because I'm upset. I really want what's best for the people. And I can't even tell you how many people contact me and tell me how they come from way outside the city and drive all the way here just to watch a game. And they come from all around Canada. This is Canada's only team. It's not just a Toronto thing, you know? So I don't want to move them way outside the city into a tiny stadium. I don't want that. But I just want what's best for the people, you know? But judging from the blowback that I got on this, man, this was crazy. There's like 1,000 people that hated on me. They were yelling at me, telling me I'm stupid, I'm an idiot because, yeah, we just tear it down. We don't need it. I don't get it, but it's okay. What do you think of prices for condos in downtown Toronto will go down for 2021? I think that's what I was saying before, that you have to buy the deal, 20% down off right now on 1-bedroom apartments, and the 3-bedroom apartments are down like 5%, something like that. But 2-bed, 2-bath are doing very, very well. Will they go down? The prices will not go down, but the purchasing power might go down. Meaning that the actual number, the unit is 500,000 now, and next year it might be 600,000. So it doesn't necessarily mean it goes up. It depends on how much money the government has printed and how much they've devalued the currency. I mean, it's a crazy idea for people to think about what the devaluing of the currency is, and they don't get it. But like, if I just talk about my own dad, my dad worked for $5 a day. My grandfather got paid, I have his pay stubs, $5 a week. Okay, so what happened? If he would have saved that $5 and that bill and put it in a book under his bed and saved it there for 50 years to hand to me, I still can only go buy like a hot dog with that thing now. But in a day, it was worth $1,000 of today's money because of the devaluing, because they're printing so much of it. And the same thing is going to continue happening, but they've put it on steroids while they're printing so much money right now. So you'll see the dollar value go up, but it may not necessarily mean the purchasing value is going up. So a property at $500,000 today might be at a sticker price of $600,000 next year, but it may be in today's dollars only $400,000 of purchasing power. So when you buy a property now, though, and lock in that price, lock in my mortgage amount of $500,000, as they keep printing money and the sticker price keeps going up, that locked in amount never changes on your mortgage. So you can pay the mortgage later with much cheaper dollars. The government's basically going to be giving you money toward your mortgage. It's amazing. So if you stay in cash and you don't do anything, it will ruin you. And I mean, this isn't just my opinion here. I mean, read any economics book that is out there. All those people that were hanging on to cash in Venezuela or Tunisia or something when they were printing it like crazy, the same thing always happens. I mean, it's just a general rule of economics. But if you were looking, I would look at one bedroom places, man. That's my most important thing. I'd be looking at one bedrooms. So I really appreciate all you guys coming here. Hey, Rashid, you said good work, man. Thanks for the pick-me-up. I thought a lot of you guys would be blowing like smoke and yelling at me. I put out that video on the Sky Dome, not tearing it down, and I got like 100 messages of hate from people. It was really crazy. So I hope that I was helpful to you guys. I think I burned through all of your questions. I hope that was helpful. If you ever want to reach us for any reason, myurbanquarters@gmail.com or Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. So My Urban Quarters is my personal one, or you can go through Ruff Team Realty and you can talk to any one of our team. We offer free consultations at any time. We can talk about your whole financial future, financial literacy if you want. Again, we're not financial advisors, but we do a lot of this stuff anyway. And we can talk to you about your properties, any buying, selling, investment properties, multiplexes. Sometimes it'll be a subway that we've done or a commercial property. We can help you out on those things. Do you guys have any other messages? I've had 15 new people join, so that's fun. We're talking about financial literacy and all of the things that you can make money on, specifically with properties. And we operate out of the Greater Toronto area, so we're really good at that area. But a lot of the rules that we talk about are very good for other areas. The rules are good for, it doesn't matter if you drop me off in Boston. The rules are still going to be the same as to what type of properties you should be purchasing, you know? Thanks for everybody for joining in. I really appreciate it. Is that all the questions? I'm thinking of doing this every week. We've been online now for over an hour answering questions, and we've had like 100 people come on. So I hope that I offered some value to you guys. If I offered any value to you and you liked it, try and follow us, like this video and follow us, and hopefully we'll be able to do it a lot more. If there's a demand for it, I'll do it every week, and hopefully you guys can make a more secure financial future, make some good decisions for yourselves. And when you're buying and selling properties, that you can get into really good ones. We want you to make good decisions and make your family more secure in the future. Is there anything that we can do to help you on that front when it comes to buying and selling properties? Any finances? Does anybody have any questions? Any questions that I can help you with that comes to that? Man, thanks very much. At Broken47, man. I'll keep it up. If you guys like it, I'm going to, we just started 4 weeks ago or something, 3 weeks ago. We got 200,000 views on TikTok, and not even counting any of the other platforms. So there's obviously a huge demand out there and a huge need, and a lot of people with questions about real estate, because it can get very, very confusing, man. Real estate is a tricky, tricky beast. And unless you're working in this all the time, you can really get screwed up. Did I ever tell you guys about my friend who bought the wrong house? So I had a guy, he was buying a property and says, David, I didn't know if you dealt with properties under $1 million. I'm like, I've been friends with you for like 5 years. How did you not know that? So we were going to help him out. He went and bought the wrong property off of another agent. And I said, where did you find the agent? He says, I just called the brokerage and somebody picked up. Guys, I got to tell you, if somebody picks up the phone in a brokerage, he's got nothing else to do. Like I work like 100 hours a week. I'm always busy. So I have no clue what this guy is and what he does. And remember in Toronto, 70,000 agents, 35,000 never even sold one last year. 25,000 may have only sold one. So there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing. And they went with that guy and he saw 2 properties on the same street. 1, 2. So he sees it and calls the guy up. Yeah, I really like number 1. And the agent said, no problem, I'll do up the paperwork. And he wrote number 2. So the guy has no idea. He signs all the paperwork. And when he said, can I go view the unit? Can I go look at my house that I just bought? Yeah, of course. He goes over to the house, goes to show him the property and goes, this isn't the house I bought. He bought the wrong house. Oh my God. So he ended up calling me and I had my lawyer and we worked together and we ended up busting up the contract. Okay. So he got away unscathed, but I think he has like PTSD over it. And he's like, I'll never go with anyone else. I'll call you next time, Dave. So, you got to be really, really careful. Just make sure that you're always dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing for. Like, can you imagine buying the wrong house? I can't even. That's one of my worst things I've ever seen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my story. That's a true story, man. Is there any questions that I can help you with for buying or selling homes? Are any of you looking at buying or selling a home in the next little while? If you're looking at buying or selling a home, you can always reach out to us, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com anytime, and we can help you out. Our consultations are free. We don't charge any money for it. You can, and we'll give you an idea of what you're looking for. Now, we specialize in the Greater Toronto area, Barrie out to Oshawa, out to Muskoka. Sometimes Kawartha Lakes out to Hamilton. So mainly that area. But if you're looking at outside that area, then we have other affiliates that we work with. What about, thanks, buddy. You're giving me some questions coming up. So what about semis in Bolton? Yeah, we do lots of properties up in Bolton. Bolton is a good area. It's been on high growth. So, when I first came here, Bolton was way out in the middle of nowhere, but the city has grown and absorbed Bolton. So now it has a lot of services around it. It does very, very well. But again, it's not always about the area. It's about the deal. So in Bolton, if you're looking at some particular homes, we want to make sure that you're buying it for a very fair market value price and don't overpay for the homes like so many people in Toronto do. We draw a line and say, do not pay over this amount ever. And more of our clients, we're telling them to walk away from deals than actually buy them because the price just doesn't make sense. So don't get trapped in that. But Bolton, yes, I would absolutely consider it anytime. A semi, so if you're looking at a semi, I hope that you're looking at renting the other side out too. And so if you were, we would also like to look at the demographics of that exact postal code and make sure that it's a high value area, that we're going to be able to get good rent from the area. And possibly you're going to move in and refinish the other side, make sure it's done up so you can get your top dollar on rental dollars. But there's a bunch of research that we have to do to make sure that that'll be worth it. A lot of areas we'll go into and you won't get any more rent if you do it up rather than if you just leave it the way it is. So we have to do some research to figure out if it's any good for you to actually do that. So I would think twice about it. If you ever want to talk about it, you can always contact me, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com anytime. Do you think the market will settle down again? I think the market is going to continue to have some bumps, but the bumps are going to have to even out. Devaluing of the currency, lower interest rates are going to keep pushing the prices higher. It's not necessarily the purchasing price. That's a completely different thing. You want to sell your home. You think the market will settle down? I'm glad. I think that there will be, as soon as the government programs stop, and slow down, there will be a lull, I think, in between that and the massive money printing that's going to be able to be required to remonetize all the debt that they had because of COVID. So there will be a lull, I think, when the programs start ending. And in that time, I think that you will be able to pick up some, but there will be some devaluing of the currency that takes up some of that. You want to sell your house and you want to start an income property. Well, that's a really good idea. Maybe. Okay. I have to know a little bit more. I'd have to know about the home that you are in, what size of home, how many bedrooms, what's its worth, what city that you're in. It really depends. Because if you're in a property right now that is very large I would say, yeah, it's a great time to sell your property. I'm talking like a 5-bedroom home, high net worth or something like that. Good time to sell. Those properties are going to really go down. But say that we were looking at a very interesting property that we're interested in, like income property, and you're looking at a good city, has good amount of people moving into it, really good transit or good jobs or something like that, like real good reason for us to move there. The price is below the median of a country. And you're looking at all that stuff. If you find that and it's a good area, good house, and that's the house you live in, hell's to the yeah, man, don't sell it. You should be hanging on to that thing. So it really depends if you should be selling it. But the idea of starting and getting into an income property is amazing. If you look at all the millionaires and billionaires out there, I think it's like 95% of them are in real estate or have some real estate in there. Like that's how they made their money. Because you can make money in so many different ways. You know, if you take money and put it in the stock market, you make the money just on that one stock. But when you invest it into a house, you're making money on the cash flow every month from the rent. You're making money from also the appreciation of the property. Then you also have the money coming from the devaluing of the currency. You have the money coming in from the principal repayment. And you're leveraged 5 to 1, 4 to 1. So, I mean, you're making money from all these different ways and tons of money, if you put it in stocks, you're only making money on one thing. So, I mean, getting into an investment property is obviously amazing. Everyone thinks that, you're just a realtor. Of course, you're going to be saying that. No, not at all. Read any book, okay? Go look at any millionaires and billionaires that are out there. There's thousands of books on it. How many books is there out there like how to make money on tables or something? They're all in it, and even if you don't come through me, I hope that you do it anyway because I want you to make a lot of money. If there's anything that if you ever had any questions, you can always reach me at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. It's free. We offer free consultations. It doesn't cost you anything. We specialize in finding homes that are bankruptcy homes or company-owned properties or distressed sales. We just did one where there was a couple that was separating, sadly, because of COVID. It's becoming more and more common. You know, people don't want to be together like cage rats, right? So they're divorcing and the property, they didn't want to put it on the market. And so we were able to get that property under contract and sell it for them. And it's a real tough time in their lives, you know, but we'll also be able to get rid of it very fast because we have huge pools of investors that are in waiting. I think we have 1,200 investors that are registered with us now. Thoughts on Bradford, currently in Vaughan, and want to go north and have no mortgage. Well, I love the idea of you going north. That's amazing. Keep going north. But just one word of caution. So this is to Sean Haller. Sean, if you're going to be moving north is where we're seeing property prices go way up. Like up to 44% is the highest I saw. So make sure that you're not paying that super COVID premium for moving up north. Right now, as far as safety, I would say moving east or west, you know, moving down the corridor toward like Trenton, Kingston, you know, you can get more properties out there, more security because there's more highways, more business, more airports and stuff like that. But the idea of being financially free is very, very good to have no mortgage. You know, everybody has their own slant on things and their own ideas, and there's 1,000 books on it. But if you look at it with money at 0.99% right now, 0.99, yeah, you heard me right, lowest in 5,000 years, there's a lot of people, you want to take advantage of these times, right? And there's places to put your money where you can make a lot of money. And so what I would do is also just think about it, not necessarily do it, but think about buying investment properties. You buy those, and the cash that you're making off those properties could help you pay for a rental anywhere you want to go. You could be a nomad and be moving around the country if you want. But you know, the idea of being financially free is great. It also really depends on your age. You know, if you're really young, I wouldn't do that. But if you get a little bit older and you're thinking about retirement planning, of course, I wouldn't say, you know, take your whole nest egg and risk it in real estate. I think that'd be crazy. People are going to be homeless once they stop. I do think that there is going to be pain. Yes, absolutely. I think there will. But the Canadian government has never even shown one sign of people, of them not showing that they're not going to give this huge stimulus. I mean, just look at this year. I think it's 50% of every, is it 50? 40% of every Canadian dollar that is out there has been printed within the past year. I mean, they are printing money like it's just going crazy. The United States, I think they're at 25% or 30% of all US dollars in existence were printed in the past year. Come on, man. It's absolutely crazy. So there are some advantages out there. So take advantage of them if you can. But Sean, if you want to, you can reach out to us, myurbanquarters@gmail.com. That's my personal. I'm more than willing to have a chat with you about it. I know, Candy, you think that a lot of them will be homeless. I really hope not. But I don't know what they're going to do. But I think they're going to continue to print money and stimulate the economy at all costs. I mean, that isn't even what they've demonstrated. That's what they're doing. So I think that is the way to go. I can't spell any advice, you joker. This guy. Income properties should be charged taxes. The rich are getting richer and the poor and working class. Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest contention, I guess, is when people have a lot of properties, this is where they can depreciate a property. I don't know if you guys know what that is. When you depreciate your property, it's how Trump or Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, how they pay zero taxes. So when you have all these rental properties, you have all this income coming in. So it shows a lot of income, right? And all of this is now income that you have to pay taxes on. And this is where real estate can be powerful because you have all these games that you can play. Well, I had to change a furnace in that house. I had to change the roof. I had to do this. And every time you put all of those repairs, it all comes off the income. So these investors want to drive that income down to zero. And so they want to put in, and then when that happens, they pay zero tax. I made $100,000 this year, and I invested $100,000 into homes. So the government says, okay, well, if you invested everything, you pay zero tax. So the government has been very clear for decades. How do you pay no tax? That's how to do it. And that's how they've been making money, right? So it is a terrible thing. It is very, very hard for somebody who's not already on that bandwagon to get in. It is crazy hard. I mean, it could take you 10 years to do that. But if you're very diligent and buy properties in other states, other provinces that are very low-cost homes that are cash flowing, you can get that whole thing rolling a lot faster than you could in a big city. Never start in a big city. You want to start somewhere else where it is a bit safer. Your biggest risk is getting the number of doors. It's not the price of your property. You don't want your entire net worth to be in one house, man. You have your house in one house. That guy doesn't pay rent. Everything falls apart. So you want to race to having 10 doors, okay? And then if one guy doesn't pay rent, 9 of them are, so I'm okay. So think outside of just the GTA as well. You know, you have to have a balanced portfolio. So that's what I think you should do. But I think that they should have to pay taxes, and of course. Oh my goodness, guys. Thank you for all the questions. So Archie Barrett, he says, shout me out, man. How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm here. I'm maybe going to make this a weekly thing. This is my first month on TikTok, 200,000 views in the first month. So obviously a lot of people are very interested in this. We really want you to pass the word. Please like this, follow me, tell your friends about it. And I'm willing to come on here every week and help you guys out. Am I a millionaire? That's a little personal, but we do have a lot of properties. We have companies. You know, I'm a guy, I came from nothing, man. My father had to work till the day he died. And if I showed you pictures of where he grew up, I was crying the first time I went to his house. Like, no food, no shoes till he was 10 years old. And he lived in Alberta in minus 30, no shoes, starving to death. His family died. Like, I mean, I didn't live that life, but my dad did. But I grew up, I was out of the house at 18, renting a basement room for $300 a month. I never had a car that ran, worked 100 hours a week just to feed myself. I mean, like, it's a long road. And I find a lot of people these days are they're very impatient. They think that everything is going to happen overnight. And if it doesn't happen within a month, they're out. So, you know, in my case, I was looking for mentors. I could never find a mentor. So what did I do? I just worked 100 hours a week every week. I read every book I could get my hands on, and I just never stopped. I mean, I was saying earlier, you know, I had cancer when I was a kid for 5 years. I never went to school very much because I was in the hospital a lot. And my dad told me every day, we win because we don't quit. And honestly, that is like my whole mantra of my life, is to never quit. And I won't quit. So because I work a lot, I don't have any kids, and me and my wife, we both work like 80, 100-hour weeks every week. So if you're willing to put in the time, you will learn. But if you can find a mentor, the mentor will really, really help you out. But it's hard to find that because there's a lot of people asking for that. So usually what I did is I was asking people and volunteering to work for free. And a couple times I did work for people for free for 6 months, 7 months at a time, trying to learn stuff, but I still didn't learn what I needed to learn. And so sometimes even offering to work for free is not enough. You have to bring something to the table for a mentor to really be worth for him to take your time, So just always hustle, man. My advice to you, never stop learning. Read incessantly, read as many books as you can, soak up that knowledge, and really, really try to absorb it all. Try to get a mentor if you can. They can really cut your learning time in half. Now, like I said, I worked for free for many, many months, like 6 months, I think 8 months. So a long, long time. So let's see, do you operate within the US or internationally? So no, we're in Toronto. We're downtown Toronto. I don't know, in the States they have Wall Street. In Canada we have Bay Street. So it's right downtown. We're on the water. My office is in the same building actually where I live, so it's nearby. I like it. Location, location, location. Typical realtor, right? Just take the elevator down. But I personally have properties in the States, so I like investing in the US as well, but that's for personal. I don't broker anything as far as offering that services to clients. For us who are investing outside of the Greater Toronto area, we have other affiliates in other cities like Calgary, Halifax, Montreal, stuff like that. You like my suite? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. You like my moose? Yeah. I'm pretty happy about that one. I just got it. How long does it take to make your first million? A lot longer than you think. Be patient and work your ass off. But you know what? I'm going to be honest. We're in the trust tree, right? We can be honest. I lost everything. Everything. Twice I lost everything. And once, it wasn't even lost everything. I was like negative $200,000. And then that one was brutal. I had to work forever just to get myself out of the hole before I could start. And I never went bankrupt either time. I paid it all off. So, be willing to put in the time and the effort. Everybody nowadays wants everything within a second, okay? But in real estate, so if you want to get into real estate, I highly suggest it. I love it. Of course, I'm biased, right? But everybody comes into real estate. 70,000 agents in Toronto, right? But 35,000 never sold one last year. 25,000 only sold one. Why is it that everybody is not making it in real estate? Okay? Only the top ones are regulars. Everyone else, every 36 months, the whole bottom of the list is changing over. It's because everyone thinks that money's going to fall from the heavens, and that never happens. Okay? So put your time in. Be willing to work. Any agent that comes to work here, if you're willing to work 60, 70 hours a week, every week, for 2 years, and in some cases 3. Unless you do that, you might not even make it, man, honestly. But if you're willing to hustle and you work with someone who really knows what they're doing, you're going to do very, very well, man. You could start really doing very well in real estate. But the problem is, you got to work a lot of hours, man. That's the secret. Now, Elon Musk, if you ask him, how did he build PayPal, man? The guy says, we worked every single day from 6 p.m. right till 9 a.m. And then he went to sleep only 8 hours and kept working. Even him now building SpaceX and everything, he sleeps on the factory floor. So, it can get easier for you, but it comes at a cost, to be honest, man. And it's not always easy, man. It takes a lot of life out of you. My weekends and evenings don't exist. I spend my time out servicing people and helping people. Look at tonight. I thought I was only going to be on here for half an hour, and I've been on here for a couple hours. So, I just want to help people, and that's just who I am. So if you're that type and you really are dedicated, you really want to work, I think that you can do it. But you have to be patient and you have to follow the process. Try and find mentors to help you, because they can cut a lot of that learning curve off and not be like me and lose everything twice. Anyway. Oh, another guy tear down the Rogers Center. You crazy kooks, man. Losing my voice, sorry, man. Tear down the Rogers Center. You're going to kill the city, man. Why don't we tear down the CN Tower and Distillery District and Massey Hall and Eaton Center? Take it all out. Okay, it's not going to do any good to the city. And just build condos. If we just build condos, that's what the communist countries do. Yeah, just bumper to bumper condos, and then nobody ever wants to go there. I mean, we have to keep the things that people want to do. Tear it down, build one bigger and better. I'm in. Okay, no problem. So. Other one, is wholesaling a house a good idea? Okay, so if you're saying that, you're probably watching some guys. There's a guy on TikTok. What's his name? I don't know. Kang. Let's go get that Monet. That guy. He's always talking about wholesaling properties, but it's not the same in Canada. Okay, it's not as easy here at all. But it can happen. It can happen, but it's not near as easy to skip trace addresses the same way as they do in the States. It's not near as easy to find distressed sales because of privacy in Canada. So you have to, it's not like just go and get a list and call these 10 people. Where do you get that list? There's a lot of privacy involved, okay? Laws are very, very different here. It's very hard. There are people who do it, but it's not even on the same planet as doing it in the States. So if you were in the States, hells to the yeah, it's a great idea, man. But it's kind of like I like real estate. If you can't do wholesaling in Canada, why don't you become a realtor? But only do it, man. Only do it if you're in this for the long haul and you're willing to put in a lot of work, because it doesn't come easy. It's really, really hard. I read for a couple hours every day on the laws that are changing in real estate, okay? The different rules from different communities, different contracts. I don't know how that somebody who just sells one house every 3 years can keep up to date. It's absolutely crazy to me. I don't know how they do that. Patrick Dixon, man, thank you very much for giving me props. I'm glad that you like that. You liked it. I hope that you take away something really good. If you ever need anything in real estate, you can always reach us at Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. Hey, buddy, thanks for making fun of my hairline. Yeah, I'm in my 40s, man. I don't have big locks of hair. Quit making fun of me. This guy is too much. Yep, the millennial wants it fast and given in 1 month. Yeah, that's actually true. You know, I have a lot of people who call me and they want a job. And they tell me they're still in university. They've never worked a job in their life. And they said, we want $80,000 and a company car, and we want you to subsidize our housing. And I said, what do you do? And they said, I don't know. What do you, well, what kind of course are you in? Well, we're in arts. What? I don't know where this all comes. I left working minimum wage, 80 hours a week just to eat. And I get a lot of people who call me that they want everything for nothing. So it kind of bothers me sometimes, but if you look at everything on YouTube and everything, everyone makes it look so easy, right? It happens in 2 seconds. I can find my house, refurbish it, rent it out. It should take me an hour, right? But people don't see that it actually takes months, like, to do a lot of this work. So just be patient, man. Things will happen. Things will come. I have to keep moving. Don't you have to be some kind of sociopath to make the big bucks? I don't think so. If you look at all the people, would you call every person who's worth more than X amount of dollars a sociopath? So I've had comments like this before. Sorry. People automatically think that if you're a homeowner that you're a sociopath too. So I don't know. That's an individual thing, man. I think people are either nice people or they're mean people. It doesn't have anything to do with whether they have any money or not. Hey, I got some foreigners on here saying something in Spanish or something. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming on. Do you think that Gary Vee is a very, like, cool dude, right? He is high energy, man, but he's right on a lot of things. He might not be everybody's cup of tea, right? But I've learned things from Gary Vee. Like, I wouldn't have even probably done all this social media stuff if maybe he didn't. I mean, he wasn't the only reason. But we always worked off referrals for years and years and years and years. So it was just in the past couple months that people have been increasingly calling me all the time, man. I get like 6, 7, 10 calls a day. David, what's going on? So that's what made me think that this might be a medium. So I started this a few weeks ago. I hardly have done anything, and I've already had like 200,000 views in the first month. So, like, obviously people are really interested in it, right? But that's why I'm here. I just want to help people. I want them to be able to be financially free, make some more money. That's all that really matters. Gary V, controversial guy, but I think what he says sometimes is some good stuff. What are these guys leaving these messages? I can't even read that. That's really mean. That's really rude. Don't read all those comments. Should you buy a personal home or an investment property first? First of all, Ina Yatatamaki says they're just jealous. Maybe they are, I think you should just be judged on the type of person you are. Are you a nice guy or are you a bad guy? That's all that should really matter. Maple Roadie, you said, should you buy a personal home or an investment property first? Okay, really depends on your age, how old you are. Also depends on if you have any other income, like if you have a full-time job right now. Also depends what city that you're in. If you're still on there, can you leave a couple comments? Tell me where you are and what kind of home you're looking at. So if you are younger, I would say you should be buying a property. Absolutely. Buy a property first. Most important, buy a property and get money working for you. You will never make money working for it. It's not going to happen. You need to make money when you're sleeping. You need to make money, passive income in other places. You have to. Okay. There's no argument. There's no one on earth that's going to disagree with that. So you need to start doing that and understand how money works. So I would be focusing on cash flow, getting some money coming somewhere else. So a lot of people want to buy some big baller place. Like, what's your dream home? I want to live in a penthouse in Toronto. Okay. How much is it? $5,000 a month. So I'm like, well, why would you be working and making that $5,000 a month payment on that property when it wouldn't be a property you would buy as an investment? So for me, if it's an investable property and you like that property, I would be buying that property first, getting that cash flow, making you money, and then using that money it's making to pay for my dream rental, wherever it's going to be. And you got to do that in the beginning. And of course, down the road, when you have enough income coming in from the different sources, then you could look into buying your dream property. But Maple, if it is something that you're interested in, you can always contact us at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com. We have free consultations. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free. There's no obligation. You don't have to buy anything. And I'm very willing to give you some personal advice, either me or anyone on the team. We can help you out and give you some free financial advice when it comes to properties. Again, we're not financial advisors, but we deal a lot, obviously, with money moving in and out. So we can help you out. And we have other people on the team, like mortgage advisors and stuff, that can help you. So Maple Roadie, reach out to us, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com, anytime you want. What do you do for a living? Oh, hey man. So I'm a mortgage broker. So in Toronto, there's a salesman and there's a broker. Broker is just a fancy term, it's just a few more qualifications, a few more designations. You can have people work for you. You can own a brokerage if you wanted to. So I'm in Toronto on Bay Street. So that's like the Wall Street of the United States there. We're down on the water. We have a really good team of people that are here. We've been here for a long time, and we're always trying to help people make smarter decisions, to make them more financially free in the future. Maple, thank you for writing. You said that you have a full-time job. You're 35 in the Greater Toronto area. So this now comes down to feelings. Thank you for giving me that. That helps out. So this comes down to your feelings. How comfortable do you feel living in a rental versus owning a property? So some people, it doesn't really matter to them, but some people it means the world. Like they want to know, I own this place, okay? So the idea for me, if you were 35 working full-time in the Greater Toronto area, I would never just rent. I wouldn't do that. You can only make so many dollars in your life, right? That's fact. But you can also only borrow so much in your life. So all this time that you're spending and you don't have any more money borrowed, you're losing that opportunity. So you need to take that money and do something with it. The key is not too much. You don't want to borrow to your max. You have to borrow some. Don't ever stretch yourself. And then where do I put it? And the answer is just easy. Opportunity cost. Where am I going to make the most money for the least risk? That's all it is, man. That's simple. Easy, right? I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that, but you should have a balanced portfolio. You should look into having some income property. And I mean, I'm not a financial advisor again legally, but all of the people that are out there agree, you have to have some hedges included, 5 to 10% in bullion, gold, silver into your account. You need to have 1% crypto as an outside hedge, Some people say that, but most of it revolves around specially constructed whole life insurance products. They have also certain companies that you can have, holding companies that can shield a lot of taxes that you can put your real estate into. I mean, it can get kind of complicated, but you need to start being able to think about where you're going to put the available credit that you have in your name, because that's going to really, really supercharge your growth in the future. Hey, John out of Japan. Hey, buddy. I got Japanese guys coming on. I love this. Thank you. What do I do for a living? I think I already told you that, yeah? This guy is a salesman. Is that what you said? Oh, man. There's so many comments coming in, guys. I don't know if I can get to them. So how can I make money? Like Mr. Kratz from... How do you make a lot of money? You got to start being able to figure out ways that you're going to make money somewhere else. So for us, I run a real estate company. I'm a broker for real estate in Toronto, which means that we can get a little bit into wholesaling, a little bit into rentals, a little bit into sales of company, commercial, all different types of real estate. And then you can possibly see some deals for yourself where you can make some good deals on it, right? But everything comes slow. Don't think about it becoming rich overnight. Every realtor thinks that they're going to become rich overnight, and it takes time. You need 2 to 3 years, and you have to be willing to work 60 hours a week minimum, okay? Hustle. You win because you don't quit. If you do that, you're going to do very, very well. Is it a good time to buy a house in Southern California? Nope. That's Audi, man. I wouldn't buy in Southern California right now. Just the political climate there, the taxes that are so high, the environmental stuff, but mainly the taxes. And it's a very liberal-leaning state. Not saying I'm not liberal, but because the Democrats are down there, they have really said that they want to protect the tenants. And this is the same problem that we're having even where I live, because a lot of the tenants here can now live in a place for 2 years. 2 years rent-free. Can you believe that? That's absolutely crazy. 2 years. Rent-free. And the landlord himself can go bankrupt. Now, a lot of people say, you know what, I don't care if those rich people go bankrupt or they have a lot of units. Not all landlords have 200 units, okay, and can withstand that. So many of these guys only have one rental. And if that rental does not pay them, they'll lose their original house too. And we've seen that where a guy, I'm thinking of one guy, he had 3 kids and married. He had one rental. The guy never paid, and he ended up having to sell his main family home and move into a rental himself. So he almost lost everything. He essentially did, right? He lost both homes. Now he's a full-blown renter just because somebody didn't pay. So if that happens, and that is happening in California, I wouldn't be considering moving there. You should be moving out of state into Arizona or into Texas, where the climate is a little bit different, how they deal with evictions, and the taxes for sure. That's where I would be looking. Spend your time doing something productive instead of trolling. Amen, brother. That's exactly what to be doing. We hustle all the time, man. We work from morning till night all the time. Now, some will say that's not very cool because you got to enjoy your life, and I agree with you. But I'm maybe unfortunate. I don't have any kids, so my wife and I both just hustle. We both work all the time. So, that's really what it is. But if you want to break free of the rat race, what do they always say? Do easy things for a hard life. Do hard things for an easy life. But for some reason, YouTube is telling everyone, do easy things for an easy life. It's not going to happen. It just doesn't. Okay, they're feeding you a load of garbage. If you want to break free, you're going to have to do what the other people are not willing to do. Sometimes that could be risk. Sometimes it could be banging on the property. Sometimes that could be working more hours, which is what I've always done. I just work harder than the next guy. There's no guy that's going to outwork me. So, what is your different than the other guy? What is your hard? Do that. Try to be of service to people and do it to the utmost of your ability, and then you're going to be able to do very well. I don't care what domain it is. Elon Musk building cars, or it could be like making computers or tables or anything. Just be willing to do something that the others are not. Would you invest in REITs? No, I would not. No, I would not. Have I invested in REITs in the past? Yeah, a lot of times, guys. I had REIT stock myself, but commercial real estate is going to be going through a very painful period over the next couple of years. So if you look at before, 5% of people work from home. Now it's at 54% of people work from home. So we're going to see companies shrinking and closing, and people moving online. We're getting forced into that. So commercial real estate is going to remain empty. Remember, we know that that's going to happen, okay? That's for certain. Now, we also know that Trudeau is going to be bringing in millions of people from overseas. Millions. He wants 1 million within 2 years, and he has a 5-year plan for even more. So 40% of those people come to Toronto. So we're going to need homes desperately. We don't have any homes for them to move into, but we're going to have buildings everywhere empty of old commercial space. Okay, so this is where I'm thinking. I think they're going to be building more places in there. Like these old strip malls with elevators in it and escalators are perfect old folks' homes. Put condos all in there. I mean, I think you're going to see a period of massive redevelopment of commercial being moved into residential space. Absolutely think that. The government, provincially, the city, and federally has already stated that they want more people on less square foot of land. Do you know why? Why do they want more people living in towers? Because it's cheaper for them, okay? They don't have to build as many roads, not as many sewers, not as many sidewalks, not as much shoveling, and people are paying primo dollars to live in a small little box, and it's environmentally friendly to live in cities, okay? So they have been screaming it from the rooftops, you know, what's going to happen. So I don't think there's going to be a demise of the cities. I think it's going to be a changing from commercial into residential, but there's going to be a period of time that we got to do that in, right? So that's why I wouldn't be investing in REITs right now. I think there's a lot of problems that are coming down the road. Can I take the equity from my current home and use it as a down payment on an income property? Hells to the yes. That's exactly what you can do, and that's exactly what you should do. So you should be taking out equity in your home, but can I put one caveat to that? So it depends how old you are. If you're younger, you can afford more risk. If you're older, so this is to Patrick Dixon, if you're older and you have to be thinking about the future, you can take less risk and you have to keep more of that nest egg in your house, okay? Generally speaking, if you're in your 40s, like my age or so, you should make sure that all of your assets and all of your debts, that you own 30% of your assets. That should be your ratio, okay? So the bank is willing to lend you more money than that. They're willing to lend you, I think, down to 22.5% of you owning your assets. So like if you own a home for $1 million, you should have $300,000 of equity and $700,000 mortgage, like maximum. But as you get older, that should be shrinking. You should absolutely do that. Absolutely. At 0.99% interest rates right now, 0.99, cheapest interest in 5,000 years. Absolutely, you should be doing it. Now, the more tricky question, Patrick, is where should you be buying, right? And that's the $1 million question. And there's a lot of work to do in that, and that's personal situations. Like, if you ever want to reach out to us, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. More than willing, free consultations, no obligation to buy anything. We're willing to go through it, either myself or one of us on the team. Hey, Clumsy, tell me I'm a joke. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. You're renovating a home to rent the basement separately from the main floor. I have to change so I can see what it says there. Renting out the main floor on the basement separately from the main floor. Do I put in a separate meter for bills? I wouldn't put in a separate meter because, I don't know. Do you have permission from the city, first of all, to build that? Is it a legal basement? Because almost none of the basements are legal in most cities, okay? The city won't allow it and won't give you a permit to make it legal. So if it is legal basement, yes, put in an extra meter. If it's not legal basement, then putting an extra meter is kind of waving a big flag for the city to come and tell you, you're screwed. And then when they come and inspect your house, they're going to give you a double whammy. They're, number one, going to order you to remove the basement and turn it back into a single family home. And number two, they're going to raise the value of your home, and you have to pay a lot more taxes. So that's to Jenny. Is that Jenny Guzzo? So that's what to do on your property. But if you ever want, reach out to me on a personal level, Ruff Team Realty, and I'll help you out. Can you comment to the benefits of buying a rental property through a corporation in Toronto? Huge benefits, but it has to be set up. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so legally I'm not, telling you what to do, and I'm also not a lawyer. But when you have a property owned within a corporation, you're not paying personal real income tax. So imagine I personally give me a number, I don't know, $100,000 a year, okay, or $50,000, I don't care, $100,000 a year, and then I get $20,000 from the rental. The $20,000 gets stacked on top of that 100, so now you made 120, and you pay a very, very high income tax on that amount. I know, like 35% or something, 40%, and that from 100 to 120. So you lost 40% of your money. But if you have it within an incorporation, now you get to pay small business tax of only 12.5%. So you pay way less money in taxes, okay? But here's the key. If you have a rental property in a corporation, but you need that money, so now you only pay 12.5%. Woo! And now you take that money, and now I have to go spend it on dinner, gas, my house, whatever. Now you have to pay tax on the money you take as a person again. So you're screwed. So then it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it at all. So all of the guys that make good money is they'll leave it in the corporation permanently. It's a retirement, so that you pay 12.5%. That's it. That's the maximum. That's the small tax up to $500,000. So you pay 12.5%, and you use all of it to reinvest. All of it. You're going to be buying more stuff, and you can buy anything within a holdings company. You can buy stocks, you can buy some crypto if you want, gold, houses, income properties, whatever you want. You can buy a lot of stuff in there, but as long as this is for the future, right? So you're going to spend a period of your life building, paying hardly anything in taxes, so that when you retire from your other job, it'll have enough money getting thrown off of it that it can keep you safe. I mean, we can't rely on the CPP, right? That program is bankrupt. So, I mean, they're still running now, but if you look at the numbers about the amount of numbers going out versus coming in, they could be in trouble. So you have to plan for yourself. So that's the benefits of having it through a corporation. I hope that actually helped you guys. It's very complicated. It's very, very complicated. Your rate is going to be foul if you don't put at least 20% down. That's not correct. Sorry, guys. So sometimes it's much better. So you're talking about the CMHC loan. The CMHC is that mortgage insurance that you have to pay if you don't put 20% down. So that is not always charged to you, right? If over 20% you don't pay it, might be $8,000 or something like that. But the lower your interest rate, 0.99, lowest in 5,000 years, man. That interest rate that is so low is not applicable if you put 20% down. So your interest rate is going to be much higher. So what's going to cost you more? The higher interest rate on the whole amount, or is it going to be the mortgage insurance? And that's what you got to figure out. And that's where a really good mortgage agent and a realtor can work together with you guys and figure that out. So if you do that, you can always reach out to us, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com, and we'll try and help you out if you want. I have 2 mortgage brokers that work for me, but these guys do not pay me any affiliates. I don't get any money back from it. It's actually illegal for me to. It's just really to help you guys out. And they work for free and no obligation as well. So if knowledge is power. Get all the information you can, because the lowest rate, this is not the feelings business, this is the money business, right? You want to make the most money that you can. I imagine you're a stress tolerant person. I wish. I'm stressed out of my mind most of my days. Usually buying and selling a house is the most stressful ever. So it's not the mechanics of buying and selling a house that is stressful. It's people's stress that is dumped on me. And I find over the years, people's demands have gone up and up and up and up and up. And what they expect and what they're willing to pay goes down. And the amount of work that we do now in real estate is generally 4 to 5 times more work for the same amount of money than we used to back in the day. So yeah, it's really, really stressful. But it can be very rewarding when you work with a very good client who's so appreciative. And like, I've had clients who are crying their eyes out and hugging me and thanking me and sending me texts for months afterwards saying how much they love the house and that we helped them out. Like, when you have that, I mean, how do you put a dollar price on that? You know, like, I had a lot of crap happen in my life, a lot of bad stuff. And so I like helping people. And so this kind of job, the mechanics behind all the selling stuff is kind of secondary to just liking to help people. So that's where coming on to this TikTok and all these platforms, I mean, first month on, 200,000 views in 1 month, which for me is insane. That's just on this platform. We started on the other ones. And so there's a huge demand. This is my first live. I might be doing this every week. I thought I'd be on here for 15 minutes. It's been over 2 hours and questions keep coming, you know? So this might be something that we have to continue. So if you ever want to like a one-on-one, we can always help you out, either me or one of the guys at Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com, okay? So you kind of want to finance, but you don't, but I didn't know what job to do. I don't really know what that means. Sorry, Breezy. Finance your property or finance a car, and you don't know what job to do. I'd say like always invest in yourself. Buy as many books as you can. That's the one thing that will never go down. Always invest in yourself. Be learning nonstop. That'll really help. Connor Paul, hey buddy. He said big shout out. Pluto, so he says that it depends on your credit score and total debt ratio. Yes, HSBC has the 0.99% for 5 years. Absolutely. You're going to have good credit, guys, for this, okay? And they call it high ratio loans. So it's the ones that are like 95% debt, 5% down. So it's those usually first-time buyers who are going in there, 5% down on the property for my own personal use. It is not an investment because it's not going to happen on the investment properties that you have to put 20% down. So the rate's going to be up. And listen, like, you need to shop for rates. That's so important. But that's why I think everybody should be using a mortgage broker. These mortgage brokers, mine has 36 different lenders. Now that guy goes and does all the work, contacting all 36 banks, and then he plays them off of each other to try to get the best rate. So by doing that, he's doing all that work for me. I don't want to go visit 37 banks, and the guy does it for me for free. So, and if he can beat the rate of your local bank, hell yeah. But if he doesn't, what did you lose? Go with your bank. But if he could beat it, then great. If not, I mean, like, it's a win-win. There's no loss in this situation. So I think more people should use them. I also think more people should be using good realtors because we're free when you're purchasing as well. We do all the analytics, all the running. Like I told you, one of my programs is $10,000 for one program. We have all of our other programs cost us around $20,000 a year. We push all of this through. It's a very complicated matrix. We have a full-time statistician on staff, and we specialize in finding deals that are like bankruptcies and foreclosures and distress sales and things that are off the market. Like, we do all of this work for free. So I don't know why more people don't use like good realtors, and so you should do that. A lot of the times I see people, because in Toronto anyway, there's so many agents. Everyone knows 5 agents. They have all of these people, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to use my cousin. I'm like, okay, great. You know, I'm glad that you have a family member, but he hasn't sold a place in 7 years. And I'm like, I spend an hour or two a day keeping up with the rule changes and the laws that are changing. So if you're going to, entrust the biggest investment you're going to do in your life to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, it's kind of scary to me. I wouldn't do it, but get all the knowledge you can for free. Let these guys work for you. Like when we go, we actually say we're applying for the position. Like we're offering our services. And that should be the way it should. It shouldn't just be a given. Like, just be careful, guys. Really, really, really. But that 0.99% interest rate, and you're really Nate, Audie man, you're really right. That's amazing. You should be looking at that. You're joining the army. What's the best way to save your money? Well, if you're joining the army, you have hardly any costs, right? All of the money is pocket money. If you're going to get deployed, I don't know if you're a reserve or whatever. So save every dollar you can and borrow at this juncture, I don't know how old you are, like 50% of what you can. But if you're going to be at a younger age, you should be borrowing 100% of what you can and get into some investment properties. Remember, only buy an investment property if you can afford within the deal to have property management taking care of your property. You don't want an extra job going and changing toilets in the middle of the night. Like, that's ridiculous, right? So property management normally charges like 10%. So you need to be able to have that in play, right? So that you're not paying for it. So if you're in the Army, you're out, money in the bank, get a property management money. Thank you for your service. As you're out there and you're hustling and you're working, you'll be making money at the same time. And you're going to have to continually be doing this. And always, you could reach out to us, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. There's possibilities where we have our lawyers that you could talk to and so forth, where you can open up a corporation and keep it, if this is all part of your retirement plan, keep it hidden within the corporation and a holdings company so you don't pay any taxes on it. You pay very little taxes for the long haul, because once you're done your service, we want you to come back healthy and have a better life. So that's my idea to you. That's to Connor Paul. What do you think about detached houses in Toronto where the price is still going to go up? Yeah, we talked about this several times today. So the prices are going to be going up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the purchasing power is going to be going up. So the devaluing of the currency, the printing of hundreds of billions of dollars is going to dilute what your dollar's worth. We've seen this. A jar of mayonnaise now is like $8 or something like that. A coffee is going to be $10. But if you see what happens when we print so much, look at Venezuela, $3 million for a chicken. It's like $1 million for a Starbucks. So the paper becomes less and less worth it. So the dollar figure might go up, but the purchasing power might not. I expect that once a lot of the programs go under, there will be a dip. And if there's a dip, maybe some other opportunities to buy properties, but we still don't know. The government seems willing to print unlimited amounts of money. I mean, the US, the European Union, Japan has already said blatantly, we will print as much money as we can. And as much as we have to. But Canada hasn't said that yet, but they are sure showing that they will. So I expect it to continue to go up. Hashad, you were asking where I'm from. I'm from Toronto, TO in Ontario, Canada. So the United States has Wall Street. We have Bay Street. I'm at the bottom of the bay on Queens Quay. So that's where my office is. You can come here anytime. We're probably not going to be here. We're probably usually out working. But if you ever want to reach us anytime, ruffteamrealty at gmail.com is where we are. Guys, thank you for all the questions. I thought I'd be out of here so quick. And you guys are really being patient with me. I'm trying to get through it. You just got out of high school and you're trying to get into real estate. Where do you suggest you start? Okay, well, get into a job. Number one, if you're just out of high school, I would start trying to mentor with somebody. You need to get onto somebody who can help show you the ropes. And you know what? I'm nothing against any parents, but most parents don't know this. Get in. So this is to Sparky Boom Man. Yeah, it's still high schooling. You got to get in with somebody who can show you what to do. So number one, invest in yourself. Read as many books as you can, and get onto some kind of a mentor. I offer to work for free for people. For once, it was like 8 months I worked for free. And nowadays, they're having to bring something to the table to even get a mentor. But try and do that. Get onto somebody who really knows what he's doing about and learn the mechanics of money and how money works and how you can use debt to get rich. Don't go buy expensive cars, flashy stuff. You need to focus all your money and all your time on something that is going to give you benefit in the future. I think that's what you should do. All right, Sparky? This isn't a TikTok work interview. He is calling me boring. Sorry, man. Some guys are so mean to me. Anyway, the B movie was specifically for its take on mortgage rates. I don't know what the mortgage rates has to do with the B movie. Can you do the BRRRR method in Canada? Hell yeah. All you guys who don't know what the BRRRR method is, to buy, repair it, to rent it out, to refinance it, and to repeat. So you're going to buy a house at a really, really good deal. And so that's what we kind of specialize in. We find bankruptcies, off-market properties. We find distressed sales, company-owned properties, stuff like that. When you find those things, you want to buy it at a good price. You want to see if you can make some money in fixing it up. And that's when you have to have a real good contractor in your court. Then you're going to try and rent it out for top dollar. So if you buy a house at $500,000, you put in $100,000, now it's worth $6,000. Then you have the bank come and estimate what it's worth, and they come back and say it's worth $750,000. You did a great job. And then you borrow 80% of that money and you go do it again. So the BRRRR method is fantastic in Canada, okay? It's the same as the States. So absolutely do it. And it's a great idea. So you just have to manage risk and manage your debt and manage your taxes. And if you could figure out those things, I mean, you're away to the races. So get a really good accountant, a good lawyer to work with you. But I mean, your accountant, I'm not talking about the guys that charge $100 a year. these accountants are going to be charging you a lot more, like $500 at minimum, usually like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a year. Like my accountant is $6,000 a year, but it costs money. The more corporations that you have and stuff, it costs more money to be able to maintain everything. But as long as those guys can save you that money, then it's worth it to do it, if that makes any sense to you. People still making fun of me. Earn money. I guess you just want to earn more. For myself, I don't actually need a big house. I actually don't need a car. I'm here to serve big. That's what I'm here for. I just want to help people. I mentioned before, I had cancer as a kid. I didn't come from very much. I worked my ass off my whole life. I spent my younger life in the hospital most of the time. But my dad always told me, never quit. He said, we win because we don't quit. So that's kind of what I've always done. I never quit. I will always outwork the other person. But if you have that mentality, you're going to be okay. And it's not for me. I don't actually need all these big things. I just want my time. And I feel that a lot of times when people get sick or they have really bad things happen to them in life, and my dad died on me, and like, time is the most valuable thing, man. Time. And if you can just appreciate and be with good people and work with good people, that's a lot of reward, right? So try to do that in my life, and I would just want to work with good people too. If you ever want to work with us, you can always reach us. You can DM me anywhere, and we'll try and make an appointment with either myself or anybody on the team. You rebuilt my house, and I rebuilt my house. It's pushing $4 million. I bought the house for $1 million. Good to sell now. Depends where you are. But if you were in Toronto, yes, I would sell it right away. The prices, what happens? This is not Canada, okay? I'm talking everywhere in the world, every big city, everywhere, anywhere, any city, anywhere. Small homes, big homes. And a recession happens. What happens in a recession? You tell me. What happens in a recession? Who loses more? Does all homes lose 10%? Does that happen? Every home? Absolutely not. The big homes will lose 50%, 60%, 70%. Then the little homes, guess what happens to those little homes? The homes that were 100 grand, 150 grand, something like that. It depends on what state and what province. What happens to those? They don't even go down. Sometimes they go up. And it's a sliding scale. So if you have a big home, buddy, this is Yum 429. If you have a big home now, this is a great time to sell. I would take my full money out of it, and I'd be using that full money to deploy into investments. Not all of it right away. We're going to be trickling this out over the next year as more deals come into play, but you should be looking at houses below the median in places that can have good appreciation, good cash flow, and be using a lot of that right now at buying discounted properties. I see properties all the time at 20% off what they were just a couple months ago. And these are really good times to buy good deals with some of that money. So that's what I would do. With that $4 million, you can have a deadly portfolio that is making you really good cash, and you could live off that cash flow almost for the rest of your life, depending on where you're living and your lifestyle. So, good for you, buddy. 1 million to 4 million. So you made $3 million in equity already, not even accounting for principal payback. So good job. I'm really happy for you. Okay, houses prices are very high. Agents will charge normal fees for doing the same work. Yes, but no at the same time. So the rates haven't changed very much. The States are 6%. In Canada, it's 5% is the general rate when we're going to sell a property. But when we're buying properties, which for us is over 75%, we work for free. The buyers never pay anything. We get a commission from the other side. But if we want to talk about the old days, absolutely, let's do that. Okay, in the old days, I used to go and take somebody to 8 properties, 10 properties. They'd find one they like, and they would buy the home. Yeah, the price was less. I didn't make as much commission on it, and it was okay. Okay, so that was in the old days. And people used to not be interested at all. They wouldn't mind if I took 4 hours to get back to them. Nowadays, you tell me what happens if you don't have a message back. People want a message back within 30 seconds. Sometimes I have people texting me 4 or 5 times in 5 minutes. They expect you to be on the phone. So what's happened to me is I had to buy myself an assistant, and then another assistant, and then another assistant. And then what we did is we focus on properties like bankruptcies and distressed sales and company-owned properties, so we had to get a statistician involved. In the old days, I never had any software, none. But now I have one program, $10,000 it costs me. My license is $10,000 a year, which has skyrocketed over time. I have another program. We spend about $20,000 a year in software that we're running. We never had to do that before. In addition, we now show somebody 10 properties, 10. They get all excited to put an offer on one and they lose it. Everything's going to auction. So they'll lose that property and go look at another 10, put another offer in, lose it. Go look at another 10, put an offer in, lose it. And so now we might have to show 30 properties, 40 properties, instead of just showing 8. And we have to put in way more work and we don't make any more money. So actually, if I had my way, I would go way back in time, man. I made more money when I started in the business than I do now because of the absolute gigantic expectations, but it's also what we specialize in, so I can't complain. I'm not complaining. This is what we do. We specialize in like platinum service and nobody else has that. So I'm willing to invest into that. So I give service that is way better than anyone else for the same price. So, I mean, we're willing to work off of thin margins because a lot of people like to use us. So it's not always about like a realtor being greedy, but it really depends on the situation, to be honest. There's a lot of realtors right now that they're one-man show. And they only sell one property a year or 2 properties a year, and they're just regular or whatever. So that's cool for them too, and maybe they can adjust their commissions a little bit easier. But when you have an entire team working around you, like we have, usually service is much higher, and usually satisfaction is much higher. When we have this big team around us, we're able to sell homes faster, and we sell them for more money. Also, when we purchase properties, we usually get them for a lot less money because we spend a lot of time finding bankruptcies and off-market properties. I hope that helps a little bit. That was for Full Send Trading. Thank you for all the questions. You bought a house for $300,000. It was appraised at $500,000 now. How do I take the equity out? Easy. Just go talk to a mortgage broker. If you ever want to reach our mortgage brokers, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. They can't pay me any affiliate fees or any commissions. It's actually illegal for me to get any taste of that at all. It's just literally to help you out. Mortgage brokers, they have like 35. Mine has 35 or 36 different lenders, and they'll do all that shopping between all of those guys for them. For you to get you the best deal. You can also go to your local bank. So you want to release that money. And remember, sliding scale. The younger you are, the more you can take out. The older you are, the more you have to keep it safe. And then you use some of that money to buy other income producing assets, either properties, preferably through a corporation. Have a little bit, 1% of crypto. They say that as a hedge, and 5 to 10% of bullion. That's basically what you want to be within. That's what they say. But good job on buying that house and getting a really good amount of equity on it. Would you suggest closing first property mortgage or using amount toward down payment on a second property? Absolutely. Don't pay off your first property. Yeah. Buy a second property, but be very smart on the second property that you're going to buy. So you want to, depending on your age, right? You want all your assets and your liabilities lined up, and you want to own 30% of your assets. You have $1 million house, you want to have $300,000 in equity in that house before you're willing to play. So you have to take out the right amount of money for your age and for your area, and use it very strategically and targeted toward the properties that are going to make you good money in the future. So that's for Toronto life. So I'm guessing that you're in Toronto. So you might want to look in Toronto. There's some properties that are 20% down, but even look outside of Toronto. What do you think about condos? So this is for Pines. That name. You just wanted me to say that, right? What do you think about condos as rental investments with the current state of fees and insurances? Same as always. It hasn't changed. Condos are still great investments, but it really comes down to the deal, remember? I keep saying that over and over and over again. It always comes down to the deal. Make sure that you're in a building that has a good, do you guys know what that... the status certificate is? It's like the condo Bible. So in that, it will have all the liabilities of the building. So if the individual owner has debts and liabilities, if he's getting sued, if the building is getting sued, and what the total investment has been put aside in the reserve fund. Typical building, 30 stories, 300 units, should have about $1 million. You have those big buildings, 80 stories, it might be 2.5 million. But you have to make sure that it's a very, very good building. You have a lawyer and a realtor do due diligence on the building. Make sure the deal works well for you. And then absolutely, man, I'm perfectly okay with it, even with the fees and the insurances, because you still have insurances on your other homes when you rent them out, even if it's a single family home. And instead of strata fees, you're going to be paying what? Maintenance. You're going to be paying maintenance on your home, which typically is 1% on a home that's 500,000. You might be 2% if it's a home of like 150,000, right? So you'll have to raise it. It's a sliding scale too. But absolutely, I would continue to look into condos as investments. I think it's a really good idea. It's very smart. Is it better to invest in a condo or detached house in Toronto? It really doesn't matter. They're both good deals. So there isn't a blanket statement that can make that, only invest in this or only invest in that. It really comes down to the deal. So if you're able to buy a property, so what you want to do is imagine we bought $100,000 condo that made a certain amount. Let's put the numbers in Toronto since you're in Toronto. Say that you're going to buy a place for $800,000 and you can rent it and you'll make $30,000 a year in rent. But what happens if you buy a house for $1 million and still can only make $30,000 a year in rent, right? So we have to put them next to each other, and then obviously that house wouldn't work. The condo is the winner. So you really just have to boil down all of the numbers, and that's what we do. We push it through a lot of software. We do a whole diligent analysis, and we are laying properties next to each other, looking for them to make the most money. So in Toronto, typically what you're looking for is 3% per year, cash on cash return for total rent minus condo fees or maintenance and minus your taxes should equal 3% of the purchase price. That's what you're aiming for. Average in Toronto is about 2.7. So if you're around that 2.7, 3%, you're doing good. But you'll see properties that are hitting some stupid numbers like 1.5 or something. And if you hit something like that in a building that has only gone up maybe like 6% in the past year, that's a big mistake. So you kind of have to look at the deal as an entirety. So I wouldn't shy away from either one or the other. It actually is the deal that you're looking at. But good question. That was it to Addie Koopa. Thanks for asking it. Addie, you're also asking, are we in a bubble in Toronto? Will it crash coming soon? I wish I had a crystal ball for you. I really do. I'd be able to help a lot of people, right? But we have to look at the big picture and what the government is doing. So the government is bringing in millions of people. That pushes up your demand. They're driving interest rates into the negative. They've already passed the laws allowing them to go into negative interest rates, which they're going to be doing. So those negative interest rates are going to push the prices of houses up. And then the last big thing is printing hundreds of billions of dollars. By printing hundreds of billions of dollars, it's going to throw the prices up. Not necessarily the purchase price, but it will be pushing the prices, the number of the home up. But if you get into a house now, you're securing and locking in that mortgage so that you can pay off the mortgage that's locked in with cheaper dollars down the road. So that's what you should be doing. But are we in a bubble? Do you know that just, 2 days ago, we had this huge worldwide report that Toronto was rated number 2 city in the world for future growth to become a mega city. So, when you see stuff like that, for the ease of people to come here, for the ease for work permits, for the price, like we're saying it's expensive, right? But if you go to other major cities like New York and Boston and London and Paris, and I'm not trying to prop up Toronto that much, but a city that has that much potential and that much push behind it in money, you think that the property prices are going to collapse? I don't think that that's going to happen. I think you're going to continue to see property prices going up, especially as we're going to be converting commercial property into residential property downtown as all the companies move out of Toronto. So there may be a lull, but the government is going to be printing a lot of money, and just that one thing alone, the devaluing of the currency, is going to keep the prices up, let alone all the other big triggers. But really good question for you. If you guys ever want to reach me on a one-on-one basis or reach anyone on the team, Ruff Team Realty at gmail.com. It's 100% free and there's no obligation. Or you can contact me here and we're willing to get back to you. You have another question. Do you hold Tesla shares, and will you be buying Airbnb as an IPO? Okay, well, I'm not a financial advisor, so legally I can't advise you of what to do. But yeah, I own Tesla shares. I've owned them since they were $200. I bought some more when they were about $500 or so. And then I've just held on to them for many years. Just like Elon Musk, I like his work ethic, and I think he's a cool dude. I wouldn't be buying more shares at this price. I'm a little bit afraid at the price that they're at right now. Airbnb IPO, no, I'm not going to be buying Airbnb IPO. I think it's going to be way too big, and almost always when an IPO comes out, there's always a huge surge and a big crash that happens after, usually within a couple months. Go look at Facebook or another one like that. You're going to see that it crashed by like half. So if I was going to buy Airbnb, I'd wait, but that's just personal. Okay, I'm not advising you as a legal advisor. I'm not your fiduciary in that space. Thoughts on buying and renting condos downtown? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But always look at the individual deal, man. The deal's got to make sense. You have to be making right enough money on the other side of it. So all that really matters on any house, on any condo that you're going to buy, is how much do you have to pay and how much am I going to make? Show me the percentage. I mean, if we're going to be oversimplification of the whole thing, that's all we care about, right? It's how much money am I going to make? And don't tell me in dollars either. Tell me the percent, because you're going to make $10,000 this year. Okay, well, what do I have to pay? Do I have to pay $500,000 for the house? I have to pay $1 million? Oh no, you're going to make $10,000. No, tell me the percentage so I can figure it out, right? Is now the best time to buy? There's always a good time to buy, but you have to find the right deal, right? Right now, there's properties in Toronto that are 44% up on the year, and there's properties that are down 20% that are on sale. So which ones do you want to buy, right? Like if you know a pair of Levi's jeans is $100, do you want to go buy them for $144? No, but I want to buy them when they're on sale, right? So like I would be looking for things that are on sale, good deals that you can buy now, and then rent them out. That's what I would be doing if I were you. I mean, that's what we're doing for all our clients now, and that's what I do for myself personally. Who's this? Limitless Ira? Learned a lot from you about real estate today, buddy. Thanks, dude. I hope it was helpful. Follow me. This is my first month on TikTok. I got 200,000 views the first month, and got 2,000 subscribers or something. So subscribe to me, follow me, tell your friends. If this is something that everybody enjoys, like I came on here thinking I'd be on here for 15 minutes. I've been on here for 2.5 hours or 3 hours now answering questions. So obviously people have a lot of questions. So hopefully that you're learning lots from it. At least how much money should I put down for a payment for a detached? I mean, that's a hard question. Cal Elementary, really depends where you are, right? So if it's your personal home, you should be putting 5% down. I wouldn't put 20, but you really have to talk to a mortgage broker and a team meeting, mortgage broker and your agent together to figure out what is the best deal. That's what you have to look for. But if you ever want to reach out to me, ruffteamrealty@gmail.com, or you can reach me here and we can talk about your case personally. It's free. There's no obligation of any kind. You don't have to buy anything. Uber stock did that. Oh, you're saying, yeah, Uber stock crashed. Yeah, damn right it did. So I never owned Uber though. Thanks everyone for telling everyone to follow me. I hope that everybody that learned something and found some value here is going to follow me. What do you think of the Boston market for investing in real estate? I like Boston. I had a property there, I sold it. But Boston has, remember I say near hard assets, near the water, near subways, near hospitals, near schools. You hear that? Schools. They have more schools than anybody there. So that's going to be a permanent demand. So absolutely I would be buying in Boston, and I regret selling my place. So I would keep properties in Boston for sure. I just haven't had time to look there. But make sure that the deal makes sense. You have to make sure that you're buying it at the right price and that you can rent it for the right price and that the return in percentage is making sense to you. Then it's worth it. But I really like Boston. I love it there. It's such a cool city. Some people saying some bad comments about me. Let's just ignore them. Thank you for all your comments. I can't even believe this. 3 hours? You really like my service. Keep doing it. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Follow me and Tell all your friends to follow me. I'm going to keep trying to help you out as much as possible. Hopefully you take some of it and you can learn from it and you can make some more money. That's all that the goal is, right? Financial freedom for everybody. So stay tuned. I got a lot more to go. Am I a Trump supporter? Oh my God, I'm not going to like talk about that. It's like suicide, guys. What a crazy subject that is. What do I do for a living? Okay, I've asked that a couple times. I'm a real estate broker in Toronto. We're on Bay Street. We're on Queen Street, Bay Street and Queens Quay. The States has Wall Street. Bay Street is our banking hub. So I'm right downtown in Toronto, and I love it down here. I live on the water. Remember, always buy near hard assets. So we're near the highway, near the subway, near the water, near a bunch of theaters, near all of this stuff, right? I can walk inside. I never have to go outside, right inside of the box seats inside to watch a game at the hockey stadium. Like, those things are never going to go anywhere. So the value of the properties are like, I call it cheap insurance, right? By always keeping yourself in a solid place. So I'm a broker down here. So some people ask, what is the difference between a real estate agent and a broker? It's just really the designation, because as a broker, you have to have more studies, more exams, more responsibilities, and you can have people work for you, and you can open a brokerage and have your own place if you wanted to. Hopefully that answered that question. So today we've had, I don't know, probably 300-400 people come on. Do you think that it's a good idea that we do this every week, guys? I'm thinking about coming on here every week. I can't even believe that we had this many people come on in the past couple hours. It was only going to be a 10-minute thing, and it turned into 3 hours online trying to ransack through all of these questions. So many people, so many questions. I really hope that I've offered some value to you. If I have, follow me below. Ruff Team Realty, we opened up our things on all the different channels, 200,000 views in our first month, so I'm really happy with that. How do you find a good deal? That's what you're asking. Very, very hard. So we specialize, we try and find bankruptcies and company-owned properties and distress sales. And so a lot of that is a lot of phone calls, a lot of relationships. So we have tens of thousands of people that we have in our database. We have 1,200 registered buyers with us. And so a lot of people who are trying to sell their homes want to know that you have buyers in waiting. And so when they'll contact us and say, hey, do you have somebody for my house? I don't want to go, like they're divorcing or for whatever reason. I need to sell it. I need to sell it for a good amount of money. And we have a lot of buyers that are sitting in our program waiting to go and buy. So as soon as we have a deal that comes in, we'll present it to our investors first before we ever let it go live to the public. Also, though, on the flip side, we just did a house and the guys were very, very specific. They mentioned they only wanted an 09 unit, okay, like a corner unit with a very, very good view. So guess what we had to do? We ended up calling every unit in that building and the building next to it, every single unit that had that view, calling them one at a time, mailing letters, handwritten letters. Would you be interested in selling your place? I have somebody who's very interested in it. So it's not always easy, like, Google search or something. It's actually a lot of labor. So we put in a lot of time and effort to find them. So it's tough to find a good deal, especially with so many investors in the market. I don't know if you've been watching the news. They say that right now there's a surge in landlords. There's never been more people looking for investment properties than right now. So it's making it harder and harder. Condos are dropping like crazy. Gone fishing, buddy. Is it safe time to buy? That's a very hard question. Depends on what city that you're in. Depends on what type of city it is. Is it a growing city? Is it a shrinking city? I'm wondering if you're in Toronto. Is it safe to buy? It only makes sense if we're looking at the deal. So like, let's take Toronto, for example. There's some condos in Toronto that are down 20%, and there's some condos that are up 20%. So which one do you want to buy? So a lot of the 2 bedrooms, the 2-bed, 2-bath, the most in demand usually almost in any city, except when all the schools are open. And like in Toronto before, it was the 1-bedrooms that were the most popular, but only by a slim margin. 2-bed, 2-bath, you can have 2 students with their own bathrooms. So 2-bed, 1-bath was never as popular. But if you're going after the 2-bed, 2-bath, that right now, the prices have remained the same. They haven't changed anywhere, so it's still okay to buy. Are you willing to buy a 3 or 4-bedroom condo? I wouldn't buy a 3 or 4 bedroom condo. That will be too much risk for me. The 1 bedroom condos in Toronto are down 20%, and those are the ones that I would buy if I was looking at an investment, because you're buying it on sale and you know there will be huge demand for this down the road. So it's not as easy as a big brush to paint and say all condos are bad, all condos are good. It really comes down to the deal, the type of building, the type of city that you're in. But if you ever want to reach us, reach out to me here or at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com, and we're happy to help you. One-on-one consultations, they're free. There's no obligation of any kind. You're down 59%, you said, in that area. Oh my God. I'd like to know, Gone Fishing, where on earth are you, that 59% drop in condos, man? I think I would be buying a condo there if it was down 59%. You said you're downtown Toronto? Gone Fishing, you're gone Toronto, down 59%? Tell me where. I haven't seen that at all. And I'm looking at houses all over the place. I look at hundreds of them a day. So, please, I'm very curious. Let me know. Best rates right now, putting down over 20%. So normally you get 0.99% if it's a high value loan at 5% down. And the rate gets higher when it gets to 20%, but as you get to 30 or 35%, the rate comes down again. So you might be able to put down like 35% if you're really interested in it. But personally, at this rate of interest and where we are in the stream of time, I would be looking at using more of that money, not putting 35% down, but using more of it to buy other assets that are going to inflate with you and make you a lot more money. We have to think about how leverage is working, right? You have to take advantage of that. So Addie, you're looking at detached house in South Etobicoke. Really cool, man. I hope that you're going to be successful on that. In an area close to Sherway Garden for $1 million. So for anybody who's not in the Toronto area, this is a very nice area. South Etobicoke, especially below the Gardiner. I'm wondering if you would be at that price point, just near Brown's Line or something like that. That's what it would sound like. But that price point for $1 million is actually a good price for that type of home in that area. So for me, it all would come down to in that home, on that price, what is the grade of the inside? So like, is it very rough? Is it all been redone, all refinished? And how many square feet is inside the property? Hopefully there's good bones. And how many square feet is the land? So the land, the square footage inside, and what is the quality of the inside. And so we would have to see how that stacks up to all the other recent sales to see if it's a good deal or not. So Addie, if you want more than offer, free, no obligation, you can reach out to me here and I can look at it to just give you a brief idea on what I think of it. But you would need those numbers just to be able to give me, or we can look it up together. It's up to you. Thank you for all your actual thanking me for this. Gone Fishing, you said thank you. I'm glad that you guys appreciated this. Man, this was a big whirlwind of a first time on TikTok Live. 3 hours I've been talking now. Is a penthouse a good investment? No, not usually. I'm going to be honest with you. This is to David Dingdong. What? I can't, that guy. You said, is a penthouse a good investment? So let me tell you, can I tell you a story? A gold coin, like this big, okay? You know the one with the maple leaf on it? They also sell a gold round. Same weight of gold, same quality. One looks pretty, one isn't, okay? So right now, if you want to go buy a pretty gold coin, they're going to charge you, I don't know, $2,500. But if you want to buy the round circle, it's only going to be $2,000. You have to pay a premium for pretty. But in a recession, in bad times, when you go to sell those two coins, they'll pay you $2,000 for each. So in a recession, in bad times, people don't pay for pretty. They don't pay for the extras. So generally, in penthouses, they pay a floor charge, $1,500 per floor, moving up. In addition, you could have a view charge. We did one at $30,000 extra for the view. But in a recession, when things are bad, people aren't going to be paying all that extra money for a better view. They're like, how much square footage do I have? I need bedrooms for all my kids, or my aunt and their kids are moving in. Like, you need size. So penthouses, no. At this juncture, I would not be looking at that. But if we were in a recession, yes, I would buy a penthouse, as long as the deal made sense. So I hope that helps. I hope that was helpful to you. I sound so short, but I've actually done a lot of penthouses in my life. It's 2 a.m. in the UK, and this is too much for you. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, this is serious talk for 2 in the morning, man. You must have insomnia. I do too. I feel your pain, brother. It sucks, but I hope that you're learning anything from this. You know, the rules that we follow in real estate are applicable in England. I don't care. I say you can parachute me out in any country in the world, and these rules hold true. It doesn't matter where you are. Buy near hard assets, buy near hospitals, lakes, subways, stuff like that, and make sure that the deals make sense for you. You have to look at your cash-on-cash return, the rental rate that is coming back to you year over year, the appreciation of the building, and look at the status certificate with a lawyer and a good realtor. Make sure you do your due diligence and make sure you're protecting that. Then you use your realtor to get a really good tenant. He does all of that checking for you, right? He does all the backgrounds on it. You have to vet your tenants really well. No, you want a condo at 50. Gone fishing, you want a condo at 50. 50 years old or 50, are you missing an address? Well, if you're going to buy a condo at 50, I would be buying a condo right now. If I was going to be buying condos that would be on sale. And the only ones that are on sale right now are the 1 bedrooms and 1+ dens. Those ones are generally hitting at like 20% below. We just did one at 22% below market value this year. So a property like that, man, I would be all over that. Like white on rice. What do they say? Something like that. I would be all over it. You're looking for a detached home in South Etobicoke. Your budget is $1 million. So I don't know if you have found them or if you're looking for them. So if you're looking for a property for $1 million, that's a really, really tough entry point. So we did a property just by there, just on the north side of the highway, a couple hundred meters away. It was $975,000 for the house. It was a tiny house, 1 floor, bungalow, and it had to be torn out. It was so terrible. We had to tear down the walls. So the price for $1 million, depending on what you're looking for, if you're willing to put in work, it's possible, you know. So if you're looking for representation, you know, you can always call us. You can DM me here, or you can email me at ruffteamrealty@gmail.com, and we're willing to help you in any way. Again, consultations are free. There's no obligation of any kind for you to join in. But that is a tough price point for you to be in, especially in that area. But they do come up. So, UK, thank you, buddy. And yeah, this guy's also, this is like the 10th person today who's making fun of me for saying that the Rogers Centre shouldn't be torn down. I would just say about the Rogers Centre, we shouldn't tear down a 50,000 seat stadium and get rid of it. It brings a lot of economy into a city. So if you're going to build it bigger and better, I'm in for it. But if you're going to tear it out or move it to a far end, like far out of the city, it depletes all the restaurants, the hotels, the property values. Everything gets hurt when that happens. And so when a corporation wants to just tear out a big landmark that brings money into the city and just build condos for a quick buck, I'm against it, because I'm for the people, man. So Irish, you got 5 Irish roots, buddy. 5% down. 80K combined income, average credit, we can't get approved. That might be, it could be your credit, but it might be your mortgage agent. So a lot of times we walk into a certain bank, banks are kind of arrogant, to be honest with you. They're like, this is my rate, take it or leave it. But if you work with a really good mortgage broker, that mortgage broker usually has 35 different lenders. Between those 35 different lenders, a lot of them are going to be able to get you an offer. Also, you guys want to know a little secret? You want to know how they deal with mortgages? So mortgages are sold in bundles of 100. So usually in that bundle of 100, you all have to be pretty even Steven, right? You know, you have to be good quality. But in every bundle, there can be a couple, 1 or 2, you know, weird ones. A little bit not on the beaten track. Maybe you have income coming in from another source or something. And if you have a good relationship with the lenders, that mortgage agent will call them up and say, hey man, can I be one of those weird ones in that pack? And get you approved. So listen, mortgage brokers work for free. They don't charge you anything. So I would say contact a mortgage broker, a really good mortgage broker, and he's going to be able to help you out. I'm sorry that it's tough for you. Where are you, Irish Roots? If you're in Toronto, you know, you can reach out to us I have 2 mortgage brokers that work for me, and they can help you out. Again, it's free. I don't get any affiliate or any kickbacks from it. It's actually illegal for me too. It's just literally to help people out. So I'm sorry that you can't get approved. That really is a crappy situation for you. Can you talk about the gap now between condo resale price per square foot and pre-construction prices? It depends what you're looking for. Pre-construction generally is for a family that is moving into the city and they all want to be on the same floor, someone like that. But the prices are way out of whack right now. Like if you look in my building, $1,000 a square foot to buy a place. 2 buildings over, they're building another building. It's not like a luxury building, and it's actually built in poor quality, but they're charging $1,500 per square foot. So $1,000 a square foot, $1,500 a square foot. Plus, every floor you go up is $1,500 per floor. And the view charge, $10,000, $20,000 for a good view of the lake or something. So at the end of the day, you might be paying $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 for new construction, and you have to pay HST on it. You have to pay tax on that on top of it. And you could buy a resale for $1,000 a square foot with no tax. So really, right now, the new stuff is almost exclusively purchased by foreign buyers. They're buying stuff up. They get some special deals to buy as a foreigner to buy these new constructions because they're putting money into the economy. So they get these extra deals. They get in here, they build them, and then they can never rent them out. Some of these buildings have 100 units in them unrented. So your rental price will be very, very bad, and you never want to be in a building with a lot of renters. You want to be in a building that has a lot of owners. Owners look after properties, right? Renters treat it like dirt. So be in a building that has a lot of owners, not a lot of renters. So there's a lot of reasons not to be in pre-construction for an investment. That's not a good idea. You should buy a resale property any day. But as far as living for yourself, there's a lot of cultures and there's a lot of different people who put a lot of weight in. I want to be the first person to live in my house. I want no one ever lived there before. So if money isn't an object, how do you put a price on that? I think you should do that, but I wouldn't do the price, the pre-construction. It's usually way, way, way out of whack. About bankruptcy being discharged, can you get a mortgage? Yep. Absolutely. You can, if you have bankruptcy, you can get a mortgage, but there's so much dependent on that. You'd really have to talk to a really good mortgage broker. So this is for M51660. So, it depends on how big your bankruptcy was, how long ago it was, what your credit score is now, what you do for work now, but absolutely you can get a mortgage. Yeah, just be with somebody who's good. Gems, you said buying anywhere in New Zealand is just good. Doesn't matter where it is at the moment. Okay, buying anywhere in New Zealand is good. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I love New Zealand. I used to actually, could you say you lived there if you were there for 7 months? I was there for a long time. I love it there. It's a great place, and it's very similar to Canada and to Australia. Very easy to buy properties if you're a foreigner, and really, really good in demand. So I like New Zealand, but you're saying, this is what I'm saying, is you can buy anywhere in New Zealand and it makes the same amount of money. Not always. Buy the best deal, right? So we're going to be looking at condos, houses in North Island, South Island, look everywhere. But what happens if this one makes 10%, this one makes 12%, this one makes 14%? Okay, I know that you can buy a house anywhere you want and you can make 10%, but I'm after making you the most money. I want you to make the 14%. I want you to make more. With the same decisions. We got to make so many decisions as an adult. If every single decision that you made a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, well, then I don't have to work till I'm 70. So even in Toronto, if like a blind monkey throwing darts, is that the saying? Could find a condo that made some money in the past 5 years, 10 years. Everything made money. But the